Hiya BenchMates, this is Beyond the Box Art, the official podcast of the International Plastic Modelers Society UK. This is a special episode of Beyond the Box Art, with interviews and discussion recorded live at the 2025 IPMS Scale Model World at Telford. Please welcome your host, Paul Pendleton-Brown, and joining him this episode are Mike Baldwin, Dan Brazil, James Nevitt, Mark Housley, and Paul Wong. And we are joined this episode by Paul Regan.
Hi BenchMates, and welcome to episode 15 of Beyond the Box Art, your fortnightly fix of plastic, paint, passion, and the occasional modelling-induced existential crisis. Buckle up because this one is packed tighter than Hall 1 on the Saturday morning at Scale Model World. Speaking of Telford, wow, what a weekend. To everyone we met, everyone who stopped for a chat, a sticker, a selfie, or even to tell us, you lot got me back into the hobby, thank you. It genuinely means the world. And to all the vendors, traders, 6 clubs and international visitors who made this year feel like a global modelling festival, hats off, we're still buzzing. In this episode, we have Beyond the Box Art's first chat with Airfix, and we grabbed a few words with Dale Luckhurst about the new BF109G. We also focus our first spotlight on an IPMS SIG or branch and speak with Shane Cowie, the new lead for the Gunpla and Mech SIG at Telford, and also visit the Gunpla build area with Kathy from Jadlam. If that wasn't enough, we also caught up with Kostas Dimitriadis, winner of the Best in Show with his 148th Weathered Hellenic Air Force F4 Phantom. Plus, we're joined again for this episode by Paul Regan, president of IPMS UK, as we dissect the show and discuss what emptied our wallets. Now, before we dive into the Telford stuff, we've got to talk very briefly about something very special. Something we've actually had in our hands since before Telford, but couldn't utter a single word about it until now. Yes, Ammo's brand new Missing Link has been released. And let's be clear, it's not a brush, it's not a marker, and it's absolutely not what you're expecting. We've had a couple of weeks to play with it behind the scenes, and honestly, it's amazing. It completely changes the workflow in ways we didn't think even on the table. We've had a couple of weeks to play with it behind the scenes, and honestly, it's amazing. Unfortunately, that's literally all we're allowed to say today because it's just dropped at the time we're about to upload this to the server. So, late breaking news, but have a look at it when if you get a chance. What is it? Have a look on the Ammo socials, you'll find out. Right then, on with this episode. So clear your bench, shake the bottle, clean the airbrush, settle in. Episode 15 starts now. Right then, for this episode, I'm joined by Wongy. Hello! Boulders.
Hello there.
Nevs.
Hi everyone.
Mark.
Hello everybody.
Dan.
Hello BenchMates.
And we are joined by Paul Regan.
Hi guys, good to see you again after a couple of days.
Yeah, it's been like ages, hasn't it? Well, at least 48 hours or so. Okay then, let's find out what we've actually been, I won't say building, because virtually since the last episode we've had no time whatsoever. But Wongy, what have you got on your bench at the moment?
On my bench, I have the catamaran back out now.
Oh, you dusted it off?
I've dusted it off. I thought with me completing the HMS Sheffield build and putting it into Telford, I thought I'd do another watery effect and finish off that catamaran. But saying that, I do need to sort out my Tamiya thing, and I looked at it, and I'll spill the beans now. It was a 1/6 scaled Tamiya Police CB 750, I think it was. And I looked at it, and I'm not going to get it finished in time for January because it's going to need a lot of refurbing, and I'd rather do it proper than do it fast. So that's where I'm up to.
Okay, and reference HMS Sheffield, congratulations are in order, because at Telford you came away with a little bit of silverware.
I did indeed. It was in the diorama ship class, and considering it was my first foray into photo etch, I was quite chuffed with it, and with the silver medal, that just topped it off for me for the weekend. It was lovely. Thank you.
And fair to say, Wonky, a lovely little model. I spotted it on the table and thought, what a little star.
Oh, cheers. Yeah, and the sea base itself, I completed probably the day before, and it took me a day to do in a mad panic. And as for the ship, I completed it on Friday morning, 5 o'clock in the morning. There you go. Nothing like a bit of lateness, is there?
I thought it looked a bit rushed.
Well, thanks, mate.
Your paint always hangs around the model, the contest.
Yeah, the smell of paint fumes. Yeah, cheers, mate.
And of course it included your favourite thing on that model, which was rigging.
Yes, because all of you guys all know how much I hate rigging, and with this one, I could not find any half-decent references to the rigging on a Type 42. So I contacted, there's a chappie called Paul Terry, who's on Facebook, I think HM ships from the 1970s, and he kindly sent me some pictures of the rigging on another model. And I know what you're thinking, don't go off somebody else's model because it could be wrong, but it was as close as you could get it. So I used that, and I thanked him very much and told him I got a silver, which he was dead chuffed about as well.
I should imagine Dr. Leo's rather pleased at actually getting you to do it as well.
I did. This is why I ended up finishing it at 5 in the morning, because I was photographing it as I was going through. Thank you, Dr. Leo, if you're listening. But I did collate enough photos which should give Dr. Leo a fairly good idea, which I will email him back. I've not forgotten. It's just that I've been busy, that's all.
Fair enough. Okay, and what did you spend your cash on at Telford?
Well, it's not really what I spent my cash on. It's what Baldur's spent my cash with. So the only thing I bought on my own was a Qatari Spitfire, which from Jadland, very good price. And as I walked round the corner, all I could hear was, Wongi! I think it was Mark at the Qatari stand. So I showed him that I bought one of his kits, and he was dead pleased. So there was that. And then I had Baldur's who kept on nudging me to say, look, there's a cheap kit, go get it, on his scouting trips. So I ended up getting an Airfix Rockwell B1, 172 scale, and also Mr. Housley, I was chatting to him, and I ended up buying a Revell 132nd scale Tornado in Desert Storm.
At that price, Wongi, it'd have been rude to walk away from that.
It was below half price. It was 20 quid for a 132nd scale kit. It was just rude not to do it. And he had stacks and stacks of them. So we did say to him, didn't we, Mark, why are they so cheap? And he said, because they are.
Yeah.
Which is strange. There's those 3 items. And in terms of utility things, I didn't buy any tools, but I did buy some paint, which is for a future build. And that was a Ferrari red at 0 paints, which was very good. And I've never tried this, what do you call it? A two-part, is it? Two-pack?
Two-pack.
Yeah, which is basically real-world car body paint.
Colour and a hardener.
Yeah, and it's one where, again, always try something new, different to stretch yourself. I'm really going to go to town with this one. This is for the future.
Don't let that dry in your brush. Do not let that dry in your brush. You'll not get it out. It's like rock.
Okay. That's why I'm a bit nervous about it, to be honest. Because if I start painting and then Anna shouts me down for dinner, go downstairs, have me dinner, come back, and it'll be...
I think what I'd do with that, mate, is mix enough in a little container and pour it in as you use it. But every time, if you're going to be away from the airbrush for a little while, definitely clean it out, run something through it, because you don't want that drying in there. It's all right if you waste a little bit of it. I mean, how much is in the bottle when you bought it?
It was 60 mils or something.
What's the mix ratio? Is it 50-50?
I've no idea. I've not even read it properly. I was just sold on the fact that it was the most accurate colour you could get. So that was the only thing paint-wise I bought. And I think that was about it, really. So it wasn't really a humongous spend, but most of it was spent by Boulders.
Standard.
Yeah. Bargain Boulders, as I call him now. But there you have it. That's my stuff.
Okie dokie. In that case, we'll move on then. Boulders, what did you spend? Oh, hang on a second. We've got some audio from the last episode.
Yes. I said there was nothing that tickled me fancy. And then there was.
And what have you bought?
So I bought a 1-350th USS Montana by Verifier. And also, this was from Jadlin because it was a bit of a bargain. The 1-200 scale USS Fletcher destroyer. That was it for kits. I got the 2, and even though I said I wasn't going to buy anything. And my other half got me 2 airbrushes for Christmas.
Oh, one for each hand.
Oh, and different nozzles. So I like the Procon boys. So I've gone back to a PS2 17 at 289. And I also bought the Air Hub Pro, which means I can have my airbrushes connected up and sat on a stand, and I can alter the airflow from the base, which I think is rather a bit of a bargain at 40 quid. So, yeah.
Fantastic piece of kit that. On your recommendation, I got one as well, and they're just brilliant. So you can plug up to 4 airbrushes, have them as a stand, and literally just grab them as you want to go. Brilliant piece of kit. Okay, and what we didn't ask you is, what have you got on your bench? Or more to the point, what haven't you got on your bench?
So, at the moment, I have started the next project, which is the Hobby Boss 1-350th USS Missouri. 1,681 parts, so it's definitely not one for Wongi.
Wongi's just gone into shock.
Yeah, he has. It's got metal barrels for the main guns, metal barrels for the secondaries. Yeah, I'm going to do it on another Seascape, thanks to Wongi, because I actually completed my first model in 18 months.
You're welcome.
Which was the Tamiya 1/350th scale USS King George, USS HMS King George V. I'm going to shoot myself in a minute. The other thing I did pick up was COVID. So I am suffering from COVID at the moment. I picked that up at the weekend.
That was free.
Yeah, that was free. But that's what's on the bench at the moment. There will be another ship going with it, which is a 1-350th USS Fletcher, because the pair of them did sail together in battle group. So when Missouri was in port in Japan for the Japanese surrender, so was USS Fletcher. So I'm going to have them sailing together on a huge Seascape. So I think the Seascape category, I may, depending how well it goes, I may enter it in for next year. But I think they're going to need a bigger section.
Have you changed your plan for that Fletcher then?
No, I've got 2 Fletchers. So I have...
Sorry.
No, it's fine. I should have explained. I do have, for those that are on the podcast, a 1/350th, and then I've got the 1/200, which is going to be another Seascape, which is going to involve a certain scene from a certain movie that is going to be a little bit of fun, because I did pick up some information. There was a guy at Telford that was doing, quite interestingly, ship stuff. He normally does aircraft, like startup on aircraft. He did have a Lancaster a couple of years ago at Scale Model World, and he had it was either a Richelieu or a Dunkirk, and the turrets moved on it, which I thought was a pretty epic thing to do. I've got his details, and I've asked him if he's able to do something in 200 scale so that I can have the guns moving. And obviously they fire as well, so he comes with additional barrels with fibre optics, so it looks like they're firing.
So you're building a toy?
No, an accurate miniature toy.
Don't swear at me.
So in other words, he can actually fire blanks officially.
That was below the belt.
Exactly. Okay then, moving on swiftly. Mark, what have you got on the bench at the moment?
Nothing on the bench. Bench is being cleaned off at the minute. I've spent most of the day having a good tidy up, good throughout, and a tidy. I've still got my little Azure to finish, and I've decided I'm not going to do anything else until I actually get that out of the way. So,
Azure or the lead?
Sorry, that's the one. Yeah, buy Azure.
Okay, and what did you actually buy at Telford then?
I bought tools mainly, bits and pieces.
Okay.
Very expensive stuff. Not a lot for a lot, if you know what I mean. So I bought some. Now, these are from Albion Alloys, and these are really minute little files in there. I bought a pillar drill, nice little pillar drill. Razor saw. I did quite well, I suppose. I did a couple of £100, that was it, but I didn't buy any kits. I bought a bit of paint, and I don't know why I got that. Apart from that, and I got some free decals. I don't know who they're off, do you?
Yes. They came from ASK, our friend Peter Herman.
Very nice too, they look. That's about it, really. No, it's not. Like I said, no models shouted at me, buy me.
Fair enough. Okay. In that case, moving on. Nevs.
When I got back from Telford, I don't know if anyone else gets this, but I got a bit of Telford blues, sat there thinking, oh my God, what am I going to do now? So those that were at Telford, no, I didn't finish Shinano in time, very sad. So that is still in its box. So for the meantime, I've actually moved on. Dan and we've swapped brains when we were at Telford. So I'm doing a tank at the moment, yes, I know the shock is palpable, but I'm doing a 72nd scale Grant from the Second World War that I bought from Tiger Hobbies while I was there. Bought two of them, bought the Lee and bought the Grant. So I'm currently working on the Grant.
Okay. Anything else?
I bought a lot. I did buy a lot. Probably spent similar to Mark, and I bought a total of 8 kits.
Good grief.
A lot of them are quite small. So I bought these 2 tanks. I bought 2 other tanks. So, like I say, literally are swapping places with Dan. Didn't buy any ships. Managed to get a couple of good deals on planes. Got the new Airfix Mozzie. So yeah, came away with a full boot.
Interesting. Everyone seems to be changing the genres of aircraft, or well, models rather, from what they're building since we actually started the podcast. So obviously something's happened here. Must be something in the water. Okay, and have you got anything still other than the Stuart on your bench, or is that it at the moment?
The Grant, not the Stuart. That is it for the moment. I've got a couple of figures because I'm testing out some new paints I bought the other week from AK. Testing out some British infantry. So yeah, it is literally just for now like a palette cleanser, like Mark was showing off at Telford. It's basically just a Grant until I get the mojo back to do the Shinano.
Are we finding it?
I'm struggling to decide which scheme I want to do. So there's 4 in total in the box, and I quite like 3 of them. One's Henry Cabot Lodge's tank. If you know anything about 1960s America, you'll know why he's important. One's with the Scots Greys, which is one of my favourite units. And then this one is one of the Dragoon Guards ones. That's the box art. So, yeah, it's going to be tough deciding which one to do.
And what's the manufacturer of the kit?
The manufacturer's Mirage. Yeah, so Gary at Tiger Hobbies, he's just become a distributor for them. I think it's a Polish brand, but inside, the kit is pretty spectacular. It's pretty good. So all of today, and yesterday, I was assembling all of the road wheels, and you're used to these just being a 1 or 2 part piece in other kits. But actually doing each of them individually was quite rewarding. So
Fair enough. Okay. Moving on then. Dan, what's on your bench at the moment?
On my bench, it's all guns blazing for the B-17 now. I want to get that done in time for Christmas, if I can, which is a realistic time frame, I think, for me not to be rushing it. But that's what's all on the bench. It's big, so it needs the bench space to do it. But the wings are modular. They sort of can be locked in, put on, and then can be detached. So make it a lot easier for painting and doing the little sub-assemblies on it. And I have got a lot of extras for that in the box. I've got upgraded engines, landing, quite a few bits of tinsel for that one. So that's what's on the bench. And purchase-wise, yeah, Telford fever definitely got me for my first rodeo. Some of my list, it has been redacted because of a certain 13-year-old that lives in this house. There are presents on the list. But for me, personally, I heard good things about Armour Hobby, and I love tropical aircraft, anything in a desert scheme. So I've gone for the Hurricane Mark 2B Trop in 148 scale, the Goldilocks scale for single-seat fighters, and I won't hear a bad word said about it.
Agreed.
Also, from Hobby Boss, because you all know I love my 148 Tamiya armor kits. Someone in the club said, you haven't tried a Hobby Boss yet, and they're really good value. So to go with the KV2 I'm doing, I bought the Hobby Boss KV1. This was 10 of your English pounds, and it's got photo etch in it. It's got your decals in it, and I did have a little look, and the plastic looks really nice and crisp, great detail. Next up is, this was a bargain. This was a tenner as well. It's the 148 scale auto blinder. Rubber tyres though, so I'm not sure about them, but we'll see. And my dad had one of these when I was a kid and restored it, and it is the Mini Art Fordson Standard, which is beautiful. Really, really nice, and not many parts in that one. It is a Mini Art kit, but it's not many parts, so Wongy would be happy. And my favourite vehicle in the whole wide world is a Land Rover, so I went with the Gecko Series 1 Land Rover. But I've got an idea for that. I've ordered a figure, and it's going to be in a little mini diorama, so I'm really happy about that. I bought a few books. I've got the Yamato class battleships book from Shipcraft, which is my first foray into ship books. I got some books from Chris Meddings, which is the modelling AFV Club Armour, the More Scratch Building Masterclass book, and the Models for Ukraine Volume 2. So thank you for those, Chris. I got my paints from SMS, our show sponsor, for the B17. That's the first time I've used SMS paints. And the last but not least, it was literally about time for packing up. I thought I'll have one more look round. Every time I tried to get near 3D Gizmo, they were absolutely swamped with people. And had a little look, and I saw this sitting in the cabinet. And it's a 1/16 scale figure of Tommy Shelby from the Peaky Blinders series. And I thought, well, in Birmingham or just outside Birmingham, why not give it a go? Now, 1/16 is pretty massive scale for me to paint, so that's going to be a real challenge. But you know me, I'll give it a go. And if I get it wrong, then I say, well, I'll learn from the experience. But that's what it's all about for me. So,
Did you get that link I sent you from Facebook? Did you click on it?
not sure which one's that.
You know, when you put your name on it, it was a guy painting that.
Oh, was it? Oh, I didn't see that. No. I'll be honest with you, my phone has been nuts this weekend with so much different stuff going on. Can I just give some shout outs, please? Because I met some people at the show and I was so happy that I've got the chance to meet them. One was Dan Whitelock, who is a B17 nut like me, and he is actually involved with one of the bomb group's historical societies, the lot that were based at Santa Pod, or Poddington as it was known back then. Big shout out to Kit Builder Chris. He was so lovely, really good to talk to, and I think there's something down the pipeline planned with him. Mark Inman, lovely chap, had a great chat with him. Finally got to see in person and up close John Spud Murphy of the Four Corners and all of their builds. Oh my word, what those guys do with their dioramas are just something else. They really are. They are, each one of them is a good 5 to 10 minute look, because every time you look at it, you see something new, and their storytelling and everything is fantastic. Fred from the Modelers United shop up in Scotland, who very kindly dropped by and gave us all a bottle of his Aqua Gloss, you know. And last but not least, Dan O'Grady, my IPMS West Norfolk chairman, who helped me out massively by picking up most of them kits, because Saturday was incredibly busy on our podcast stand. I didn't really get a chance. So he came up and said, is there anything you want? So I basically put my order in, run up a tab with him, and bless him, he went round and got most of the bits and pieces I need at very good prices. So yeah, Telford was an absolute blast for me. It was the best weekend I've ever had within the hobby so far.
It gets better from here on. Okay, well, my Telford splurge basically is virtually all books. I've treated myself to the new Wing Leader Hurricane Mark 1 Parts 1 and 2, the specials they brought out. From Guideline Publications, I got the latest edition of Paul Lucas's Colour Conundrum series, which are absolutely fabulous reference documents and historical references he's actually dug up for a lot of the stuff behind the stories. Is well worth the read, let alone just the actual colour drawings for the aircraft inside. From Phoenix, I got their latest Sea Harrier book and the F-100, which a large-scale F-100 is most definitely on my radar for the future, but I need a decent F-100 kit to actually go with it first. Planning to do a dirty Danish machine, nice dark green and burnt paint and burnt metal. And the only kit I bought, thanks to Bargain Boulders, was an ICM 132nd Tiger Moth. So beyond that, basically, I was super glued to the stand most of the time, so I didn't get a chance to go around to do much shopping either, which is probably not a bad thing when you think about it. But yes, hard-earned pennies went for all of those books, and I must admit, I just love my reference material more than anything. I seem to be a librarian which does modelling occasionally rather than actually being a modeller that looks at books occasionally, but hey-ho. Okay, Paul, what did you actually buy if you had a chance to get anything whatsoever at Telford?
Well, welcome to my world of you get a few minutes either way to actually run around and buy things. I did pick up what I intended to buy, which I, to the extent that I had actually contacted Colin at Freight Dog and told him to put on one side. So I now have a 72nd scale Prentice.
Ah, okay.
Which is just relaunched from the old Skybirds range, but he's basically redone it, so it's effectively brand new. And he launched a new decal sheet as well. And I know pretty much anything that Colin does that I'm interested in is going to be pretty darn good. So I don't even look at it. I just go, yeah, I'll have it. So he put them on one side and I picked them up at some point as I dashed by. Bought a few books, exactly the same as a few of us are saying. As you say, I don't really do books here. Remember, only part of my stash of books. I actually do something that I often try and do. It's a little bit political, I suppose, is that I renew subscriptions to magazines at the show because it shows that I'm spending money with the publishers and therefore feeds into making the show look more successful for them, which is important for me because if the traders succeed, the show succeed. So I renewed Sam and Aeroplane and one or two other magazines that I subscribe to. It also gives me the reminder that I ought to resubscribe because it's the Nationals, and that's when I do it. A few other bits fell into my hands, but not a great deal, I'm afraid. Mainly because it's just time. It is literally running around. Seeing and getting bargains doesn't really happen, I'm afraid. But that's the nature of the beast, and that's why we do it. But I make up for it in other shows. I think I probably spent about 250 all in at the show. And then about the same again in other ways on hotels and food and drink and stuff. But then what's on the bench has actually changed slightly in that the F-15 is still around, but it's been moved a bit because in a case of incredibly poor timing, they're holding a model show at Elvington on Saturday. It's the first one they've done for many years. And the Yorkshire guys have been invited to attend. It's very small scale. It's very new, very trialy. So a few local groups have been invited, and as part of those, I've been invited to go along. So I'm actually trying to get some Warhammer figures finished, tarted up a bit, so that we could actually put those out to show. It is one of my normal things, but hasn't been recently. But they're quite popular with the public, we find. That they may not be grey, fast-flying death air machines or green tanks or whatever, but there's an enormous pickup level with the youngsters on it. And we've got a new member here in Leeds who's into that sort of thing. So I'm kind of working with him to put a bit of a display on of those. Whether it'll get done. I mean, I've got plenty of stuff anyway, but I actually on Monday night got home. It was raining like a very wet thing here in Leeds. I don't know where it was, but like wherever you all went. But my Lord, was it wet. So it was a case I dragged my suitcase out of the car and ran into the house, and that's it. The rest of the stuff I brought back is still in the car. So hopefully it hasn't deteriorated too much. Particularly, there's another decal sheet in there. Forgot to mention as well. I also got the 48 scale Jaguar sheet that has just been released for the RAF Germany aircraft, which was on sale from the Harrier and Jar SIG. The Jar How SIG, sorry.
Oh, yes, the special sheet. I saw that. Didn't get a chance to get one, but it actually looks like a good sheet.
Yeah, it's very good. Designed and produced by an enthusiast who's actually also a modeller, as in a member of the society and the SIGs. And he brought a limited supply over with him. And Nick Greenall, the SIGs, was good enough to put them in my hand, put them on one side and then stuff them in my hand about 4:15 on Sunday afternoon.
What scale's that sheet?
It's 48th. It's for the new Airfix Jag, which everybody tells me is really nice. And I bought a couple of. And I do like it in grey-green. It looks amazing. RAF Germany ones sound a bit unusual, slightly different than the normal UK ones. So that's into the list. But it's actually still in the car, so hopefully it's not getting damp.
Fair enough. Well, you talking about Warhammer, etc., is a good point for us actually to break now for one of the recordings we actually made over the weekend, which is with the new leader of the Gundam SIG and his son. So we'll play this in and we will come back and we shall talk Telford. I'm sat here with Shane and Jacob, of which Shane is the new lead for the Gundam and Mech SIG. Hi Shane.
How you doing? You alright?
Not bad. How are you enjoying the show?
Yeah, it's a brilliant show. We've been coming for a few years now, but I must admit this year it's surpassed all the previous years. It's the busiest it's ever been. The amount of people that are through the door, it's been really incredible, and it's more diverse I think than it's ever been. It's a really, really good show so far. Yeah.
And obviously Jacob is a little bit younger than both of us.
A little bit, yeah, a little bit.
How old's Jacob?
11.
And what is it you build?
Gundams
Yeah?
and aircraft.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so we've got a bit of a mixture.
So what sort of Gundam do you build then?
Lots.
Lots of ones. What is it? Do you have a particular favourite?
I think it's Gundam Heavy Arms.
Heavy Arms. And where do you know Heavy Arms from?
This show.
Which show's that?
Gundam Wing.
Yeah.
A little bit shy, but hey.
Little bit shy. So basically, let's give you a bit of context. So Jacob's kind of got me back into the modelling scene, full stop. But I'm reliving my childhood through him.
Fair enough.
When I was his age, I used to get home. I had to be home for 5:05 on a Wednesday afternoon, because back then telly wasn't on demand like it is now. We used to watch a programme called Gundam Wing, and basically within that, we're watching it all back now and reliving some memories from mine and creating new ones for him. And those that aren't familiar with Gundam, company Bandai, who I'm sure that most people would have heard of. Bandai in particular, they produce and engineer model kits that they're so accessible in terms of the modelling world. There's no glue. You don't have to paint them if you don't want to, but they're based on the characters out of the programmes, which are available on all sort of streaming platforms, really.
And a lot of the model manufacturers in the Far East seem to have actually gone down the Gundam route compared to the conventional route. So Hasegawa, I believe, are sort of one of the leaders out in the Far East, as well as Bandai. I can't remember the last time a new model for an aircraft came out from Hasegawa.
Yeah, it's been a while, yeah.
When you actually look at a model release from the likes of Tamio, etc., you're looking at a 10,000, 20,000 unit build compared to a Gundam mould, which is shooting at 150, 200,000.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. And it's the colours as well that are produced in those moulds are unbelievable, because I mentioned a minute ago, you don't have to paint these things if you don't want to.
Exactly. The fit is superb, machining-wise, and it's not just one colour sprue. It's actually multicolour on the same sprue, which if you actually open a model kit of an aircraft and saw that, your eyes would come out on stalks, but it's already being done.
Yeah, absolutely. I think if you look at, depending on the type of model you want to build, you've got the entry kits, which are if you look at the Airfix starter kits or quick kits, which are more sort of that typical Lego base, which are all that pre-colour that you're talking about. It's definitely a step up from Lego, but it's probably somewhere in between the likes of the high-end Lego Technic and so like a starter kit from the likes of Airfix, or the the easy kits from Hobby Boss, that are bland plastic or of a form of grey colour. That you open a box of a Gundam kit and it is vibrant. Yes. Some of their technology now is unbelievable with some of the chrome work that they do even. So it's far more popular now than it has ever been, I think, and it's certainly in this country. It's always been quite niche. But now, I mentioned that the sort of the term accessibility, it is accessible, because the likes of Hobbycraft in particular, you can find them in there now. And there's more independent retailers than there ever has been of these kits. So, if you're sitting there watching a cartoon, or anime, lots of anime.
Oh, you got such a look off your son then.
I know. You get the quick correction there, but you watch an anime and you see these characters and you can bring these characters to life. And like all models, I think when those keen modelers, there's always a story behind the models that individuals build, and I think it makes it relatable. And I think that you can build that story of that character and bring it to life. And obviously that's what modelling is all about, right?
The SIGs for the UK, or for those overseas who don't really know what a SIG is, the Special Interest Group, most of the members are of a certain age, shall we say. I'm getting the idea that the Gundam SIG's probably a much younger demographic.
Well, yeah, we've got a good mix actually. I mean, I think we're quite unique in that fact, and I think again that the animation thing I think does lend itself to that, because obviously when it comes to animation, it is aimed at a younger market, and that's how you can bring these characters to life. And yeah, I think we've got a good mixture compared to other SIGs, that's for sure. So yeah, it's interesting. It really is good.
And where can people find the information about the SIG?
So we're on Facebook. Obviously, the SIG information is also on the IPMS website. You'll see my details on there if you visit the IPMS under special interest groups. And you know, we'll be around at shows as well throughout the year. So yeah, you should be able to see us, and yeah, hopefully, yeah, have a go for those that are the first at trying it.
Well, going forward, we've been somewhat lax on the Gundam and anime side. I didn't say cartoon, I got it right. We are looking to actually get more expertise and more information on that side to, obviously, as the same as you guys are trying to do, is to actually get younger people into the hobby.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, they're the future. I mean, I'm fortunate because both my boys model, but they're the future of the hobby. And if we can't get the younger generation involved, yeah, it's important that we do that.
Well, when you think in a few years' time, they may actually progress on to, say, vehicles or aircraft or something else, and it's a lead into the hobby to keep the hobby going.
Well, that's a really interesting point, actually, because one thing actually that I haven't mentioned is when you look at the Gundam kits, actually there's different levels of kits involved in the Gundams. So different levels. So you've got entry grade, which you'll probably see at workshops like we've got here today at Scale Model World, and then you've got high grades, which are, again, they're sort of a step up, sort of 1/44 scale. Again, in that same sort of size, you've got real grades, and then you go into the really big ones, which are masters, and perfect grades, which are...
I saw a perfect grade earlier. It was like big as me.
As big as you, yeah, absolutely. So there you go.
Massive.
They do get rather large. But yeah, complexity builds up. And I think that, again, when I talked about accessibility, you can kind of build your skills up as you go.
We'll go for a quick walk, and we'll go to the Gundam build area. We're actually sat on the pod lounge in Hall 1 at the moment at Telford, and we'll actually have a look and see some of the actual models being produced.
Let's have a go.
Okay, we'll be back in a second. Right, I've walked across to the other side, and I'm now in Hall 2 with Kathy.
Hello.
Hi there. Welcome to the show. You work for Jadlam,
Yeah,
and we're stood in front of a build area
we are.
with Pilport actually building Gundam.
We are indeed. Welcome to our workshop space.
Thank you. So what have you actually got going on then?
So we have ourselves a little show exclusive Gundam. That is a workshop only build kit. So it's in our entry level. So it is a kit that has no need for any glue or any painting or any tools. So it is literally a case of you have set A and set B, and you quite literally pop the bits out, pop them together, follow the instruction booklet inside, and you just step by step, quite methodically, make yourself your own little personal Gundam.
Fantastic. And looking at the plastic in the box,
Yeah.
compared to most of us who are used to single shot colour, I'm seeing multiple colours.
Yeah.
I'm looking at a sprue that's dark grey, yellow and red on the same sprue.
And blue. There's another little blue on the side there as well.
So there is, yes. Unbelievable.
And then on the other sheet, so that's the sheet A, and then sheet B, you actually have the grey, which is making up the other elements of the model itself.
Yeah. And looking at the age range of people sat down actually doing the building.
Oh, across the board.
Unbelievable.
This is not just for children. This is across the board. So we have had all sorts. Like yesterday, I had a lot of women who were kind of here because their partners are the ones that are more model-based.
Yes.
They themselves are creative people anyway they do. They have their creative outlet, which is either stitch or crochet. So they've never actually done model builds. And I actually, unfortunately, she has just left because she's just finished, but she actually did one yesterday. Loved it so much that she actually came back to build a second.
Oh, awesome.
Because she actually wanted to try and improve her skills there. And she asked me very politely if we had time, if there was space, could she do a second? And I was like, of course.
Fantastic.
So I think she's now actually, quite honestly, got herself the bug.
Great. Another one onto the call. And the idea of actually doing this at a show like this is absolutely fantastic. It really is. And from Jadlam as a company to actually get some people, especially the younger ones, into the hobby at this range and encourage them can only be commended.
Oh, of course. When I say the age range is across the board, it really is. I think the youngest that I had yesterday was a kid who was 5. On the box, obviously, of course, it says the 6 because, of course, there are small parts and we have to kind of draw a line somewhere. Yes. But obviously, with supervision, it's very much impressive that you can watch their creativity and following the instructions. Because as well, myself, I am dyslexic and I really struggle with words. So therefore, in the booklet, you've literally got the image and you can see that it's, as I said, you've got sheet A, sheet B, and you're connecting the colours and the numbers with the letters and the image. So it's really satisfying. When I finished building mine, I was like, I feel victorious.
That is really impressive. Kathy, thank you very much for your time.
You're most welcome.
And we shall come back next year and see how it's actually progressed further.
That would be great.
I think it's absolutely commendable that Jadlam have actually done this at the show, and power to your elbow. Well done.
Thank you.
Right, I'm back here with Shane now, and in front of the SIG display for the Gundam build, of which it is impressive to put it mildly. And I'm looking at the centrepiece which Jacob has actually put together, and I can't believe an 11-year-old has done something like that. It's just absolutely stunning.
Yeah, so I mentioned about characters. So basically, the show that he's been watching, that he mentioned Gundam Wing, that just how he happens to have more than one character. He has 5. He's built them all, basically, is to kind of give you a visual representation of that. So he's got all 5 of his characters in the middle of the table. He's super proud of them, as he should be, really, to be fair to him. And yeah, I think that the hobby has become more and more popular. I was speaking to a couple of the members about it yesterday. If you look around the whole hall, not necessarily just at our table, but the hall in general, that you will see more and more Gundams or mecha than there's ever been, I think, as far as long as I can remember. Yeah. It really is. It's come on leaps and bounds.
And also, I can't remember seeing that many mecha kits on the trade stands as we're actually seeing this year.
Yeah, again, I mentioned about the independence, but this year we've actually got, from 2 years ago where there wasn't any at all, you've now got a dedicated section within Jadlam. I know you just met Kathy from Jadlam. You know, they're putting on the workshop and they've got a dedicated Gundam section within their stall, as well as some exclusives. We've got independents from come all the way from China with some really limited edition stuff. And yeah, you know, like I say, it's about half a dozen this year.
Yeah.
You know, when you think about the trajectory of that, it's unbelievable. It really is.
Totally. We'll get you onto the pod to have a proper talk about the history and everything else regarding Gundam in the future.
Yeah, I'd love to do that, yeah.
But for now, thank you very much for your time.
It's my absolute pleasure.
I'll let you get back to
steady duties, yeah.
Yes.
No, it's been my absolute pleasure and I really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
It's time for the IPMS UK Dispatches with Mark Sanderson, your regular society spotlight on events, branches and SIGs.
So we're joined once again by Mark Sanderson from IPMS. Makes a change after having a whole weekend of seeing you. How are you doing?
I know. It was good to catch up with you guys, and it was very busy. It was a great weekend, actually. I think a lot of people are probably just getting over the excitement and all the things that they crammed in, and hopefully they're squirreling away all their purchases that they actually got over the weekend.
And seeing how many they got through the door before the better half saw how much they spent.
Exactly.
Right then, what events and news have you got for us then?
So I've got a couple of shows. The first one up is on Sunday, November the 23rd. It's the Aircraft Enthusiast Fair and Model Show. This is on 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. It's at the Army Flying Museum in Middle Wallop, Stockbridge. The postcode for this, and I'm going for a 10 out of 10 this week on the phonetic alphabet. It is Sierra Oscar 20, 8 Foxtrot Bravo. They will have lots of stalls for buying, selling and exchanging aviation and modelling items. So there'll be books, photographs, magazines, models, accessories and much more. A great place to pick up those if you want those reference material for a particular build you're working on. Models for Heroes are going to be there, running one of the usual model making, make and take sort of sessions, which is a great activity for kids, large and small. They're going to have reduced fees for the event. So they're having adults are £12 and children are £7. And if anybody wants any more information, they can find out details at www.armyflying.com. Then that takes me on to the first one of the Christmas season. This is on December the 6th, Saturday, 9:30 a.m. to 4 p.m. This is the Christmas London Plastic Modelling Show. So this is featuring toy soldiers, aviation, military, fantasy and automotive and railway subjects. So there's pretty much something for everybody there. A large selection of traders covering all the genres of modelling, as I said, basically under the titles of Guideline Publications. So it's an event run by them. They have a free to enter competition. And this is something that's quite unique, with a chance to get feedback on your entry. So if you're wanting to go into a competition, you're a bit unsure and want to take that initial stab at it, this is one you're not going to pay anything to enter, and you will get some constructive feedback on how well you did. Plus there'll be lots of the usual sort of displays as well outside of the competition. They've got free on-site parking and refreshments. It's only a £6 entry fee, so that's a bargain. The address for that one is 24 Haverstock Hill, Chalk Farm, London. And the postcode is November Whiskey 32 Bravo, Quebec. More details for that can be found at www.toysoldiershow.co.uk. So next up on Sunday, December the 7th, we have the Midland Air Museum Winter Model Show in conjunction with IPMS Coventry and Warwickshire. This is on at 10 a.m. to 4 p.m. There's going to be lots of traders selling new and second-hand kits, books, paints and other modelling accessories, plus several model clubs will be showing their latest creations. There'll be the normal museum admission charges, so best to check the website for details just to make sure you can take advantage of any kind of multiple tickets. That website is www.midlandairmuseum.uk. There are lots of chances to look at various museum displays there, including a Vulcan, which will be hopefully open, weather permitting, so the public can wander around it. There's an M24 Hind helicopter, 2 F4 Phantoms, 2 Electric Lightnings, an F101 Voodoo Starfighter and others. So a perfect opportunity to get up close and personal if you're building one of those subjects. The museum cafe will be open all day as well. And the address for that is Rowley Road, Coventry. Postcode is Charlie Victor 3 4 Foxtrot Romeo. The last one from me, and this is where I'm going to probably upset loads of people because my pronunciation will be so off, is the Nivagro Model Contest in Milan, Italy. This is held over 2 days, Saturday, January the 17th and Sunday, January the 19th. This is 2026. So they are, with Saturday entry times are 2 p.m. to 6 p.m. and Sunday is 10 a.m. to 5:30 p.m. €50 entry fee. They have got special contests which focus on subjects from the Cold War, the 1956 Suez Crisis, rally cars from the 70s to present day, and subjects from any science fiction movie. More details for this can be found at www.ipmslugano.it, and I'm going to spell that. So that's IPMS and then LEGNANOIT. And that's me done.
Okay, fantastic. We'll speak to you again on the next episode, and we'll have the first of our spotlights on the branches.
Yes, indeed. Looking forward to it.
Fantastic. Okay, till the next time. See you soon, Mark.
Cheers. Ta-da.
Fishcop Models, elevating scale modeling to an art form. Experience highly detailed 3D printed upgrade parts that bring true authenticity to your builds. Creators of the acclaimed Rolls-Royce Merlin engine set for both the Kotari Spitfire and the Dambusters set for the Border Models Avro Lancaster. For bespoke design and printing, our service is as precise as it is personal, all at a reasonable price. Please take a look at our products on www.fishcopcompany.de. Shipping is available for all of our products worldwide.
Visit ScaleModelPodcast.com, your hub for the best scale modelling pods, because finding great content shouldn't take longer than hunting for lost photo etch. Brace yourselves. It's the Stash Inflation Report, the segment where wallets weep, self-control collapses, and new releases thunder in like a tsunami of temptation.
Right then, BenchMates, strap in because the aviation world has clearly decided that your wallet must have insulted somebody's mother. There are more absolute monsters on short final this month, plus a few curveballs nobody had on their bingo card. First up, Luke Graphic are at it again. Their brand new 132nd Hawker Fury is on final approach, and honestly, it is stunning. The real Fury is the RAF's first fighter to crack 200 miles an hour in level flight and one of the most elegant biplanes ever built. Luke Graphic's resin work is famously crisp, but this is premium stuff. Rigging enthusiasts, Wongy, yes, your time has come. Next up, Qatari continue their steady takeover of the 132nd world with two heavy hitters announced. In 132nd scale, P-47D Razorback Thunderbolt and a Messerschmitt Bf-109 E4. The Razorback is a dream project, chunky, brutal, iconic, and renowned for its shrugging off gunfire like it was made of cast iron. And that early 109, pure Battle of Britain DNA. The E-Series tooling follows neatly after their newly released 109K, which has only just hit the shops. The 109E is due out in 2026, and the P-47 in 2027. But Qatari's engineering quality means both are already causing serious ripples across the hobby, and we think Qatari are the first manufacturer that announced two new releases on opposite sides of the world at the same time at model shows. So well done, Mark and the team. In a surprise announcement right before Telford, Airfix revealed the 124th BF-109 G5 and G6, and it's in the shops probably as you're listening to this episode, if not very shortly afterwards. Have a listen to Dale's interview with ourselves later in the episode and he'll tell you exactly what's in the box, and there's a few surprises. Dragon are doing something unexpectedly and experimental. They've announced a new 1/48th scale BF-109 E4 with a unique construction method featuring a drawn fuselage. Not a phrase often heard in aviation modelling circles, but colour us intrigued. Early hints suggest a hybrid of traditional moulding and slide forming, potentially a very fresh take on a very familiar subject. Italeri are next going full throttle into Italian metal. Their new tool 132nd Macchi MC200 Satyr is about to hit the shelves. The Satyr was one of Italy's most important early war fighters, rugged, surprisingly agile, and far more capable than its reputation sometimes implies. A brand new 132nd tooling is a very welcome addition. At the other end of the scale, Mark I are delivering something tiny but tasty. A 1/144th Curtiss H-75 Mohawk 3 in RAF markings. This is ideal for fans of early war designs who also value their shelf space. These Mohawks served everywhere, from India, Burma to East Africa and the Middle East, surviving some of the harshest conditions of the entire war. Now a few rapid-fire announcements. Tamiya have surprised everyone with a brand new tooling of a 1/72nd scale F-14D Tomcat. Cue the Top Gun soundtrack? No, don't worry, I'm not. Triple Nuts have dropped a double boxing in 1/144th featuring the Cessna T-37 Tweedybird and the Cessna A-37 Dragonfly. AMC are releasing a 1/72nd Guizhou WZ-7 Soaring Dragon, China's high-altitude, long-endurance UAV. Sova M are releasing a 1/72nd scale Fairchild Metroliner, SA-226TC Metro 2. This is a rare civil military workhorse for fans of unusual subjects. And finally, Fine Molds have announced a 148th Kase-9 Trial Fighter. This was a real experimental Japanese design from the late 1930s. Sleek, unusual, and perfect for anyone who loves the more obscure corners of the IJAAF history. And that, folks, is your aviation stash inflation report. Truly ridiculous fortnight, and that was just aviation, so your wallet may need to assume the brace position. Now, over to Dan.
Thanks, Brownie. Okay, here we go. AK Interactive have introduced a HY Citroen commercial van in 1/35th scale. The kit number is AK35035. After World War II, Citroen needed a practical, affordable commercial vehicle to help rebuild France. And the result was the famous Type H/HY series vans. Known for their corrugated metal panels, rear-hinged suicide doors, and wonderfully utilitarian styling, the Type HY ran for an astonishing 34 years with over 473,000 examples built.
They became the backbone of the French everyday life. Bakers, plumbers, market sellers, everybody used them. Today, they're cultural icons, often restored as vintage coffee vans and food trucks. AK's kit represents the 1964 to 1969 configuration with the single windscreen, short chevrons on the grille, square rear window, working sliding rear doors. Nearly 120 parts, a PE fret and cartograph decals for 4 colourful commercial schemes from the France and the Netherlands. A quirky, characterful subject that fits beautifully into urban dioramas or core era scenes. Next up, AK again, it's the Trabi 601S in 1/35 scale. One of the most historically significant civilian vehicles ever produced and a symbol of the Cold War itself, the Trabant 601. Built for over 25 years with minimal changes, more than 2.8 million Trabants rolled off the East German production line. Cheap, basic, noisy, and famously very smoky, they nonetheless mobilised an entire nation. The 601, instantly iconic in November 1989, when TV footage captured thousands driving through the newly opened Berlin Wall. Overnight, the Trabi became a symbol of freedom. AK's kit captures the late 1980 601S variant, complete with optional fog and reverse lamps and 2 types of rooftop emergency lights. Includes over 80 parts, photo etch details, vinyl tyres, and a very nicely detailed chassis and interior. 6 marking options, including one from a well-known 1991 German comedy. A brilliant centrepiece for Cold War checkpoints, border scenes, or Berlin Wall-themed dioramas. Paracel Miniatures have introduced a PBR boat crew at rest in 1/72nd scale. Also, Vietnamese civilians and British commandos. Paracel continue their superb run of 1/72nd scale small figure sets, and these are perfect for adding life to any diorama. The PBR crews at rest are ideal for the Mekong River or Vietnam Delta scene. PBRs were the workhorses of the Brown Water Navy operations, so rested crews and authenticity and narrative. Vietnamese civilians, perfect for market, village or urban settings, essential for bringing realism to any Southeast Asia project. The British Commandos, suited for European or Mediterranean World War II dioramas, their 1940 to 1945 Commando kit provides plenty of storytelling opportunities. 1/72nd can be quite an unforgiving in the scale for figures, but Paracel sculpting has excellent proportions and crisp detail. Black Snake model, Paris, summer 1944. A superbly atmospheric upcoming release. The Renault Joavacata, produced from 1937 onwards, became a familiar sight across occupied France and later in the Liberation period. By summer 1944, many were pressed into service by the FFI, Free French Forces of the Interior, the French resistant fighters who played a huge role in freeing Paris. Black Snake brings an ultra-detailed Renault with full interior and engine, a dynamic FFI figure set capturing the energy of street-by-street liberation scenes. This is a dream kit for anyone building Paris 1944 vignettes, barricades or celebrations after the uprising. From Revell 1/25th scale comes a Stranger Things van, kit number 01217. Something on the pop culture side. Revell's brand new 1/25th tool recreates the car scene throughout the Stranger Things Season 5, especially in episodes 1 to 6. While not a military vehicle, it will definitely attract builders looking for something fun and different. It's an all-new tooling with rotatable wheels, decals, and build instructions matched to the show. No engine interior, but crisp exterior detail, ideal for small dioramas or display alongside cult TV builds. And now over to Nevs for the Naughty.
Well, Folks, this week we're all at sea. There's only been one major release announced, and that is by our friends once again at 3D Wild, who you might have remember from a couple of episodes back. They've announced a 1:350th scale HMS Hermes. This is the aircraft carrier from 1982. It led the Falklands Task Force. The kit will include 16 BAE Harriers, 8 Hawker Harrier GR3s, and 22 Sea Kings. Now, for those of you that know your Falklands War history, or even just your HMS Hermes history, will know automatically that this air group is overkill. So not only will you have enough models to complete the full complement of HMS Hermes, but probably half the task group as well. So plenty of diorama opportunities there. Certainly not one for Wongi and his 60 parts or less criteria.
Are you looking for top quality paints for your next project? Then look no further than the Scale Modeler Supply. Hi, I'm Scott, and as a passionate modeler myself, I've spent years creating the SMS product range, designing them specifically with a scale modeler in mind. We've worked extensively to develop our acrylic lacquer paint range to not only be airbrush ready straight out of the bottle, but also to be very easy to use so that anyone of any skill level can create professional results with minimal effort. Just give the bottle a good shake, pour into your airbrush and spray at 15 psi. So dive into your next project with confidence, knowing that you're backed by one of the finest hobby paints on the market. Head over to our website scalemodeler.com.au to check out our full range and to find your closest retailer.
Right then, obviously we're joined by Paul from IPMS UK. How was the event for you then, my friend? Other than a little bit busy?
Definitely busy, more than a little exhausting, being frank, but that's not unusual. They're very long days. We're on site usually by 7. We don't get off till 7, and then usually there's meals and drinks till whenever. But that's part of the event for us, for many of us, not just on the committee, but off it as well. It was gratifying to see so many people turn out. It always is. As anybody who organises events will tell you, you can organise what the heck you like, but whether people come or not is up to them. The fact that so many people came, the people found us over the weekend and told us, me, others, collectively and individually, how they'd enjoyed the weekend. And then the inevitable in this modern day and age, scrolling through the Facebook comments and so forth, trying to see what people say. It seems we did a lot of things right and people had a good time. You know, everybody seemed to go away happy. We saw mountains of bags going out the hole. So some people brought plenty of kits, even if not many of us on this pod did. But certainly, I don't know if anybody happened to notice, the classic I always check is the Hannet's wall of yellow bags behind their stand on Friday night.
Yes.
And that seemed pretty astronomical when they got to that. And by Sunday, they'd gone. Thursday afternoon, when we arrived at the venue, this is the first time this has ever happened, we found this, there was something in excess of 50 pallets had been delivered to the venue of stock delivered straight in for people to pick up and use. A lot of that was for one trader who had an enormous delivery carried out straight to the venue rather than to them and then bring it up. But quite a number, as I'm sure all of you saw looking around, were from overseas, because we had quite a number of overseas folks turn up, particularly traders. Some of them, I can tell because I saw the pallets in and I saw what arrived and I saw what went out in the Sunday evening. One in particular, Zukimura, seemed to have got rid of pretty much everything they brought except their stand materials. I think the looks of it, and that sold them as well. Some. Our friends from the Czech Republic, Edward and Special Hobby, to name the big two, they brought in a stand as big as any stand they would have at a show in Europe without any real problems, and seemed to again be taking a heck of a lot of it less back. Very pleased to actually have a chance for once actually caught up with Vladimir from Edward, and we actually had a little chat together for the first time we've ever had a chance to have a proper talk, more than about 10 seconds at the show. And he did tell me he considers that Model World to be one of the top 3 shows in the world. And if he doesn't say it, I'm going to say it, but it's a quote, that's what he said. I did ask him which is the first, and he just grinned and said, "Is near Prague."
Biased. Yes.
Yes. So I think it might be talking about either. But what was nice to see him, nice to just have a little bit of a catch up. We didn't have much time, either of us, but nice to meet him. You might find next time he publishes one of his mags that I appear to have a selfie with him that he took. Don't do selfies. But, it was great to see these guys, plus all our UK friends. Hannet's stomping as ever, Jadlam, blimey. Considering not many of us had heard of that company 5 years ago, I think it's fair to say. Russell has just got that company onto the map as a massive model retailer. And not just of kit boxes, but also his tie-ups with AK and various other people that he brought along as well.
Them build area.
That was them as well, wasn't it?
That was a fantastic thing, and actually having a member of staff there all weekend, and we did actually have a chat with her, as you've obviously just heard as part of the interview we just played out for the Gundam SIG, but Kathy did a fantastic job of looking after the kids and just the engagement, and it was people from all ages actually on the stand as well that actually got me. Yes, it was a fascinating area.
It was. Quite a lot of ladies seemed to migrate to that. I don't know quite why or how, but they did, and that's great. As I mentioned a few minutes ago, I'm pushing a little bit of Warhammer stuff through, to use the word somebody mentioned earlier, a bit of a palette cleanser, if nothing else, because those sort of figures with with speed paints that we now have available and that kind of thing, it's all a different and quicker world. The Gundams is a whole growth sector, clearly, that's taking off, certainly abroad in the East, Far East. It seems to be absolutely massive, and it's coming this way. And I think there will be people who will turn around, the old traditionalists will say, IPMS don't get into all that stuff. Stuff them. Because, as I've said now, this is probably the third time on this kind of cast that I've said these things. We're about model making. Don't care what you make. Frankly, don't care what you make it from. It's a model. I don't care about any of that stuff. For me, modelling is modelling. Whether you make planes, ships, cars, tanks, boats, figures, dioramas, things I don't even know what they are, don't care. It's all the same hobby. And I don't think you see much of a better mix than we show at Telford. Yeah, we don't have wargaming as such. We certainly don't have model railways, because they would move us away from where we are, and they would take space that we couldn't really justify. But across what we call the scale modelling sector, I think we cover the whole thing pretty damn well. And if you went down the corridor and went and looked in the competition area, this year, we must have had a pretty good year, because I had some time to spend, actually some decent time down the contest area. So I did slightly abuse my privileges and joined and did a quick look round while the judging was going on, because that way I could get in and have a look around and get out. I will fly a flag that I am also a member of the judging panel, so I have a right to be there. But I didn't just look at what I was supposed to be looking at. Because it certainly helps when we get to Sunday and I have to give the prizes out, if I've got some idea of what I've seen. So I like to try and have a look at the models, and they're just amazing. They're absolutely amazing.
We all had a sneak preview that were in there.
Yeah, it was tremendous, wasn't it?
Absolutely amazing.
The quality, I just want to break people's fingers, frankly, but that's, I'd better not say that in public. Oh, I did. I saw yours one. I did see it genuinely, it stood there. I knew it was yours because you've talked about it before. And I figured it must be yours because it looked like what it was. And it was great.
Oh, thank you.
But it didn't win. And I don't mean that in a cruel way. It was a fantastic model that in many outings would have won a class.
Oh, right.
But in there, didn't.
I don't think anybody won that class, did they, Mongy?
No, nobody got gold.
I don't get that.
Yeah.
Oh, was it one of those where they didn't out? Yeah. Some judges, and we don't enforce the judges either way. If they feel they cannot pick a best and absolute outright winner, then they don't give it. Personally, not what I would do. I would always pick best on the day because you can only beat what's there.
Well, it's funny you should say that, Paul, but when I found out what I got, and I texted the wife and I said to her, oh, I came first, but I got a silver. And she goes, how does that compute?
Yeah, exactly. You were best on the day, effectively, therefore, for me. But like I say, don't take this as being descent in the ranks. I'm not a contest judge by and large. I just I swan in and out and do bits. So I'm not part of the judging, what is the main judging panel, as it were. And to be fair, no one is. There is no hard and fast rules. Andy briefs them on what he wants them to do, and then they get on with it. And the judges do what they will do. But that is one that we're going to talk about, actually. To be fair, I shouldn't probably have raised it here. But it's one we would talk about, because why are we doing that? So we need to just look at that. But nonetheless, supermodel, and very deserving of an award. But some of the stuff in there, some of those huge dioramas that Agora was sponsoring at the back wall there, I mean, wow, they're just incredible. And fantastic of these people to sponsor us like they did. I mean, those modelers got cash, as a prize, because Agora they're only just getting going, so they haven't got product to kind of give, so they gave cash. It's tremendous just how much people support that contest and how much kudos that gives it. There were 853 models on the tables in total, slightly up from last year. But again, to emphasise the thing I always will about Telford, there's some fantastic models in there, absolutely amazing, stunning quality, the best you'll see in the world to quite an extent. But you go and look around the rest of the halls, you're going to see similar sort of models as well.
Yeah. It was nice to see an actual kit get the overall win.
Yes, it was.
That was great, because for the past few years, it's been like some super amazing scratch-built thing, hasn't it?
It has, yes.
And for me, I thought it makes you feel as though you stand a chance. You've not got to build something and
I agree.
Supply God knows how many pictures and photographs of the build. You can buy a model and you can do that and you stand a chance.
Overall, it is down to the modeller's skill on the day and the judgment of the judges.
Oh, absolutely, yeah.
So the first in show was what scale was the Phantom?
48.
48 scale Greek Phantom.
Balders was one of the judges on that.
I gave it gold.
Yeah, rightly so.
It was unbelievable.
Piece of modelling.
We designed it all. He literally designed the 3D printed stuff. He printed all the stuff. So all the engine bay was open. He dropped an engine, so it was all weathered in there. The avionics were open. The gun bay.
Is that lot not readily available, Mike? Is that not like off-the-shelf parts?
AUP parts in 48th and 32nd are so hard to get hold of. Nobody really does it in 32nd or 48th because it's an upgrade. It's just like, now I know Meng have just brought out the 2000 Terminator Phantom because it's got the RIAT scheme on it and they've redesigned that. But regarding the Greek Phantom, nobody seems to be doing the cockpit sets for him to turn it into an AUP. It's bizarre.
I think the difficulty with a Greek is that paint finish, getting that grubby, because they're not well known for keeping on top of them, are they?
I don't know. I think they paint them that colour, don't they? They come out of the paint shop. They look filthy, innit?
But it's the weathering though, Paul. It's the weathering on them. Is like once they're painted, they don't seem to wash them. They just
exactly
that dirty, grubby look that looks fantastic.
Yeah, they are the kings of giving weathering people something to go at, aren't they? The Greeks.
Look at the Corsairs, the A7 Corsairs they had.
Yeah, everything was the same, wasn't it? In their they've got, is it Raphael's now? They're heading down that route. Is it Raphael?
Yes.
Yeah, but it's and an incredible example. And the guy who built it is Greek, isn't he? It was a fantastic model. And a credit to him and a credit to the other competitors, I think. The whole thing was just unbelievable.
And speaking of the winner of Best in Show, we are joined by the winner himself, Kostas Dimitriadis. Welcome to the show. Your F4E Phantom was really impressive and impressed everyone that has seen it over the weekend. What was the main idea or inspiration behind the build?
There was no specific story I wanted to tell with this build. Having already gained basic experience in designing and 3D printing components, my initial motivation was to see to what extent someone can create 3D printed details using home equipment. Details that are not available on the market and in the highest level possible. In this sense, the project began as an experiment. And like any experiment, it carried a certain degree of risk or failure. Thankfully, the experiment worked out unexpectedly well. I had many ideas on what to build, but I concluded I wanted a Phantom. At first, I considered a British Phantom, FG1 or FGR2 because of their uniqueness. The required conversions and the lack of sufficient reference material by my side encouraged me. So I ended up choosing a Greek F4, which I had plenty of reference material available. My initial thought was to build it in the 32nd scale, which would be impressive, but on second thought I felt it would be better to stay with the scale I'm used to, the 48th. As a base, I chose the Zukimura kit, which I already had in my stash. From that point on, the vision was clear, a Phantom as super detailed as possible.
So you use the Zukimura kit as a base.
Yes.
How much of the original kit is in the build or the finished model?
Well, the main fuselage, the wings, the top wings, and from the bottom I removed all the parts that provide access to the engine bay, and actually that's it.
Okay.
Thank you, Kostas. It's really good to have you on the show. The weathering and the finish behind your F4 Phantom look incredibly real. How did you approach the weathering, and what techniques worked best for you, and what paints and products did you use?
Regarding the weathering, let us first consider what the real appearance of aircraft in active service is, where maintenance is frequent and targeted. We observe that wear and tear is mostly localized. There are areas that remain clean and others where use leaves more pronounced marks. The interior wears differently from the exterior, just as the surfaces around the cockpit wear differently compared to the engine area or the landing gear base. Furthermore, wear and tear is not uniform nor symmetrical, and certainly not of the same shade everywhere. The operational environment and the weather condition in which the aircraft operates play an important role. Dirt and wear and tear do not appear all at once, but accumulate gradually. For this reason, I do the weathering in thin layers, carefully, avoiding exaggeration and harsh, unnatural contrasts. All of this is based primarily on the careful study of the real aircraft. Reference material is the most important guide. Look for photos of the aircraft type that interests you from the period and the air force you want to represent, and pay special attention to the individual systems. Observing the real thing is what determines the correct level of wear and tear and ensure balance without excess. In any case, the general rule is nothing in excess. The second part of the question, which concerned technique and products. There is a wide range of products that completely cover every need the modeler may have for building and weathering their models. In my case, regarding the main airframe, after the initial priming with Ultimate Primer, I painted with MRP colors. I mainly use acrylic paints, but I chose MRP for their ease of use with the airbrush and their durability. Unfortunately, their use requires a well-ventilated area in the mask. I applied 2 highly thin coats of Mr. Hobby gloss varnish, placed the decals, and then sprayed another 2 highly thin gloss layers to seal them. Then I work on the panel lines using Tamiya panel liners in shades of black, dark gray, and dark brown, depending on the working area, always in respect with the real aircraft. After they dried, I began removing the excess with odorless enamel thinner. I sealed everything again with 2 highly thin coats of Mr. Hobby matte varnish, which provided the canvas for starting the weathering. Next, I use Tamiya Weathering Master Sets, a collection of semi-wet pigments. They are very easy to apply on a matte surface and can be removed with water in case of a mistake. When I was happy with the result, I sealed it again with 2 highly thin coats of Mr. Hobby Super Smooth Clear Matte Varnish, and then selectively airbrushed small amounts of the base color to create a tone variation. At last, I finished it again with a couple of highly thin coats of Mr. Hobby Matte Varnish. Nothing fancy. All sub-assemblies were painted with AK 3rd Gen acrylics, which I like for their ease of use. I also used chipping, dry brushing, and oil washes selectively depending on the area. For the metallic surfaces, I use shades from the Mr. Hobby Super Metallic series.
Hello, Kostas. It's an absolute pleasure to meet the man that created that true masterpiece at Telford this year.
Thank you very much.
Kostas, the Phantom is known for having a lot of tricky shapes. What were the hardest parts to get accurate, and did you add any extra detailing or corrections?
Thank you for your questions. The kit I used is the Zukimura 148 F4E Late Phantom 2. It is widely considered an excellent and very accurate kit, overcoming the inaccuracies of the short nose versions, so I didn't feel the need to start searching for flaws or correcting shapes. But alas, if someone wants to display the flaps in the lowered position, a correction is required, since the parts as provided in the kit result in an exaggerated gap between the flap and the wing when lowered, which has to be rectified. The kit can easily stand on its own, but I chose the more difficult path of adding extensive extra details. The core idea of the build was to show one engine removed from the aircraft, placed on a stand, while the second engine remained installed with as many access panels open as possible. This meant scratch building the internal fuselage structure, the engine bay details, and the support fixtures. I also wanted the M61 cannon displayed outside the aircraft on its own stand, again with the internal structure and all its panels open. The radar cone open with the radar extended, and I also wanted the internal detail of the spine to be visible. Furthermore, all the visible modifications required for the Hellenic Air Force AUP standard had to be created from scratch. These included cockpit instrument panels, front and rear center console, and rear left-right side console, IFF antennas, interior details of the front, middle, and rear canopies, DIAS sensors on the cannon fairing, on both intakes and the rear drag chute door, AIM-120 AMRAAM adapter rails. Also, I replaced the main and nose landing gears with improved ones, and their wheels also were replaced. I made a tow bar and a ladder. Everything had to be made from scratch, or in my case, designed from scratch for 3D printing. A very time-consuming but extremely rewarding process.
You say long time. How long did the actual build take?
It took actually 1 year. I started these days last year.
Wow.
First of all, I had to collect reference material. I had many books. I had the books from a Greek publisher, John Lex, you may know him, which are excellent, and they cover the Greek fandom in a very, very detail. And started the design of the parts. The first part I started designing was the engine. This was the deal breaker for me. If I couldn't build the engine, nothing would be done. So I started with this, and the trolley after that. The engine itself took me about a month of designing, and it came out really well. I then did the cart, and this was a promising start for me. The second thing I started designing then was the interior detail of the fuselage. That was also a bit difficult. Took me also a month of daily designing and doing test prints and all of this, since I came with a result I was satisfied.
And what software do you design in?
Well, I use Fusion 360, which is free for personal use.
Yep.
It has many, you can use it for free, but there is a subscription for this software. But if you choose to use the free version, you can accomplish almost everything. So it is not a big deal. But it takes a huge learning curve.
Yes, I know it only too well.
Your build balances precision and artistry very well. How were you able to keep that balance when you were working on a competition level model?
For me, technical accuracy is always the starting point. It's a prerequisite whether I build something for my own enjoyment or even more so for a competition model. It's something I admit I never achieved perfectly, but it remains a constant aim. Beyond that, I want a model that draws the eye without exaggeration. A model that wins you over gradually, first with a strong focal point, in my case the engine on its cradle, and then with small details that reveal themselves the more you look at it. Many subtle points of interest that won't steal the show, but work together to give depth and visual harmony are for me the key to balance. A model that, even if it isn't technically perfect, has something that pulls you in. To achieve this, I use a very simple but highly effective trick. After completing each stage, I place the model somewhere I can see it from about a meter away. I do this deliberately because at that distance I stop seeing it as a modeler searching for details and start seeing it the way a viewer would. I then go on with my usual activities, and at some unexpected moment, I turn my head and look at it without preparation. That instantaneous and intentional glance is extremely important. It is the only look that it isn't biased by the long hours spent working on the model. When you work on the model continuously, your eyes and your brain get used to the details and often fill in the gaps. As a result, you lose the ability to notice small mistakes or visual inconsistencies that can actually disturb the balance of the finished model. With this method, however, I regain a neutral view as if I'm seeing it for the first time. And that's when things appear that I wouldn't notice up close. I correct them immediately and repeat the process. The goal is for the model to give the same feeling you get when you look at the aircraft from a few meters away. A model that may not be perfect, but has that something that makes you come back and look at it again.
That is really interesting.
That worked great for me.
And it must be refreshing as well to be able to leave the project and come back at it, as you say, with fresh eyes, to be able to see it almost like for the first time.
It's exactly like that. I saw many things. So while on the couch and watching TV, turning the head and seeing the model with that unexpected glance and saying, what was I thinking when I was doing that? Yes, it's extremely revealing.
Very good.
Very good technique.
It is indeed, and if you haven't tried it, just try it.
Oh, I'm going to now, I can assure you.
You will be surprised what you will find.
Oh, I'm worried what I will find. That's what's actually concerning me. Okay, Dan.
Kostas, just listening to your answer to the last question.
Yes.
I can imagine there are going to be a lot of podcast listeners who will be writing notes as to your philosophy, almost your philosophical approach to building a winning model. That was really fascinating to listen to your process. Can I obviously, winning a best in show is a massive achievement. Which part of the model are you most proud of, and what advice would you give to other modelers aiming high?
Well, massive achievement is an understatement. Just being at scale model world as a visitor is a unique experience for any modeler. But leaving the show holding the title of senior national champion is something that goes far beyond anything I could have imagined. I would have been completely satisfied with a commented on my model. But this distinction left me flabbergasted. When you build a model, you generally know whether it's good or not. But the real test comes when, with reverence and care, you place your work on the competition table. There, no matter how much confidence you have, no matter how many dreams you might have for an award, because let's be honest, you don't go to a competition just for the participation. The atmosphere of the hall, the lights, I don't even know what exactly, suddenly make details that looked perfect now seem insufficient. You look around and see the quality of the other entries. A feeling of despair hits you. It's the moment you say, what am I doing here? But you cannot also stop admiring the competition. Then comes the time when the competition hall opens to the public. You go and see a huge queue of people waiting to get in. Okay, you think, I'm not waiting in line yet. Let me go near the exit door. Maybe I'll get some idea of what happened. And suddenly you see something that, although you instinctively know what it means, you refuse to trust your own eyes. A few seconds later, you realize that your model is on the table with the best from each category. Okay, now that is a surprise. I'm extremely happy and astonished by the result, but since there are still many people in the queue, I decide not to wait and continue my impulse purchase spree around the show. Finally, half an hour before the show closes for the day, I go inside. I walk to the table to see which model won, and I see something that had not crossed my mind even for a single moment. The title of senior national champion next to my model. I simply have no words. Even now, a week later, it is still difficult to process. I cannot easily single out one part of the model without contradicting what I said earlier. But if I have to choose, I would say I'm particularly satisfied with the engine on its cradle and the overall set of open subsystems, which blended very successfully with the kit and captured exactly the image I had in mind when I started. My advice to all modelers aiming high or just want to make better models: if you truly want to improve as modelers, show your models anywhere you can. Accept criticism, even when it hurts. Look at the competition, not to feel wronged, but to see how far you can go. And most important, never stop trying harder.
Fantastic advice, Kostas. Thank you very much. It's hard to think it's only been a week since the actual show, but I can see from the smile on your face, it means a lot.
It was really unexpected. And yes, I was flabbergasted. And what I describe is just what I felt at that moment.
Yeah, fantastic.
But to tell you the truth, I was disappointed at the beginning when I laid the model on the table. It was my wife was about to come that day in the afternoon from London after her work. And what happened is that in the morning, they canceled the second leg of her trip, the trains.
Yeah.
So I called her and told her, don't come, there's not going to be anything. So stay in London, don't bother with all these gyms.
Oh, dear.
In the afternoon, I called her and I sent the photo of actually what I sent was the photo, the table as you see it from the exit. Mm-hmm. And I took a photo, I zoomed in to see what was there, and I saw the three winning cards. I realized the first one was the category gold and the best of the aircraft to be there, but I couldn't understand what was the third one. I assumed it was a trophy for the 3D printing parts. I said, okay. I was in the heaven. So I went back to the show and start spending more money.
Oh, don't we all?
Yeah. So this is all real what I wrote here, what I read.
Brilliant.
Then at 5:40 I come back and go and say, what is this? I was doing fun, and that didn't sink. It still did. It's not. I'm going to where is the model, and I see it. As I told you before, and I said, what did they see which I cannot see? I would like someone to explain to me. Very honored to know all of this. It's something I didn't expect.
So what's next on the bench?
I have a lot of things in my mind. At least 4 aircrafts I want to make. I already started one.
Okay.
But I think I'll go the whole year with this one. It will also be a long project.
Fantastic. Okay, Kostas, thank you very much for your time. Very much appreciated. Congratulations again. It was a well-deserved winner. And for those that are listening, if you go to our social media, we've actually put Kostas' post up with the pictures of the model, which just have to be seen to be believed.
Thank you very much.
Do you want cutting-edge detail for your kits? Then take a look at Phase Hanger Resin Accessories, run by USAF veteran Mike Reeves. With real-world aircraft experience as a crew chief, Mike knows exactly where accuracy counts. And today, he's bringing that knowledge to life with precision 3D printed parts. From seamless intakes and nozzles to dropped flaps, pods, pylons, and cockpit upgrades, Phase Hanger's prints capture the crisp edges and fine detail that limitations in injection molding just can't reproduce. From 1/72nd to 1/32nd scale, you'll find add-ons from Cold War classics to the latest frontline jets with frequent new additions to the product range. Every piece is designed by modelers, for modelers, and faithfully reproduced on state-of-the-art printers and shipped worldwide, and are ready to drop straight into your next build. With additions to the product line landing all the time, there's always something fresh to elevate your next build. Explore the full range at phasehangerresin.com and follow Phase Hanger on Facebook and Instagram for regular updates and inspiration. Phase Hanger Resin Accessories. Authentic detail designed with a veteran's eye and available to modelers everywhere. Phase Hanger is a proud sponsor of the Beyond the Box Art podcast.
Cars were amazing. Them cars were absolutely stunning. Them paint finishes were, I could only dream of doing something like that.
Out of this world, some of the finishes.
Well, as I continually will say, and I'll say yet again here, look at the other tables as well.
Oh, yeah?
I think I saw models in the halls that could have been on that top table for the best of show without any problem.
Absolutely.
But not everybody wants to enter the contest. They want to build it because they're doing something for a theme or a personal tribute or a history project, and they're not interested in contests, and that's fine. And the quality is unbelievable. But also, there are less good models on the tables. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I mean, we're open to everybody.
Well, I think that's the beauty of Telford, isn't it? It's without fear or favour. And as long as, you're a modeller, you can, if you want to display, and you're in a club, away you go. Fill your boots.
We had on the West Riding stand, which is my local branch, there was a model on display, which is the first scale model ever built by the person exhibiting it.
Wow.
And it was on the table. Was it in the running for any sort of class? Of course it wasn't. No disrespect, but it wasn't. But it was on the table, and it was as welcome as something that would have won a class. Because that's what we should be about. If we become elitist, we're back to the 70s and 80s when modelling was considered an elitist hobby, and we're not. And the fact that we can get that many thousand people into one venue to all talk modelling and look at models says we're attracting people from all over. Sadly, still not a lot of youngsters there, but that's inevitable, I think, with the way things are. Kids don't come on their own. Nowadays, kids don't go to things like that on their own, do they? It's always going to be difficult to boost that side. But we try. Can't do more than make it free admission, So if daddy comes, then kids come for free. And there were quite a lot there, don't get me wrong. But there could be more. But overall, I thought my opinion basically is it went really rather well. If you were queuing, anyone was queuing for a while to get in the car parks or to get into the show, sorry. But again, a lot of people. Takes a while. Can't help that. If you could have walked straight in, it wouldn't have been half the event that it turned out to be. So as an overview, I'll say that. I do want to focus on one thing we do during the weekend. I know you're going to mention it later as well, but I'll throw it in here, which is that for those who go on a Sunday, we always do our remembrance event, which I'm involved in helping to put on there. One of our committee members, one of our executive committee directors, is a serving military officer and therefore takes the parade. A gentleman who actually isn't an IPMS member, supports us from the centre. He's an ex-military person. He runs parade master. Anybody who heard him call to attention at the beginning of the parade will know he was, in fact, I believe, a sergeant major. So he has a voice. But we get, I think there was about 40 people on the gantry there who all take the parade, which is fine. But across the halls, there are several thousand people, which we feel makes this one of the biggest remembrance events in the UK. We'll give the Cenotaph, the biggest one, undoubtedly, in London. But after that, there can't be that many events that have thousands of people in attendance who take part. And not just Brits, but people from all over the world. I was standing on the gantry. As part of that, I was standing next to a Czech guy, ex-Czech military guy. I know others were in the halls. And I've heard it before. It wasn't down this year, but I know that Zukimura in the past have mentioned that this is an incredible experience to see. And they all wear their poppies at the event for it because they now know what it is and they participate and take part. So I think we're doing something good there for remembrance. We're spreading it. We're getting people involved who otherwise might not have gone to any parade or event. So that works well. And I know you're going to tribute it later as well.
It's a very powerful thing to experience, and I've never seen it actually captured on video on YouTube or anything like that before. So at the end of the show, instead of us actually playing our normal music on the outro, we are actually going to play the whole of the ceremony from start to finish. So stick with it, listen to it all the way through, please. You may hear some unusual voices in the background. And when I was doing the editing for the piece, there were actually some of the IPMS Ukraine that were actually in attendance at the show talking in the background. And through the wonders of AI, I managed to actually translate it. And they were just blown away that we were actually doing this as a tribute as part of the event. But you could actually hear them actually speaking in, I'll say English with a hint of Ukraine, or more likely Ukraine with a hint of English. But their response during the ceremony was actually just unbelievable. And listening to it all the way through, which I did many times when I was actually mixing the sound, is powerful. It really is powerful. So please, when the show finishes, just listen right to the very end. It is actually going to move you.
Thanks, Brownie. That'll be impressive to hear, I'm sure.
Okay, well, moving on to other parts of the show then. Obviously, you've talked about the competition area. You've talked about where you've actually spent some of your hard-earned money, your attendance money, your pocket money just got sort of floating around in the back of the car. The traders obviously are a big part of the event, and I think it's difficult for people to understand. I saw a post on one of the Facebook channels this morning for one of the American podcasts saying when they saw a video clip of Hall 1 and 2, saying the US Nationals need to up their game, shall we say, for the size of the event. And I just added in, what you didn't see was Hall 3, which wasn't actually in that video, plus the competition area, plus the food vending area, plus obviously the foyer and everything else. Footprint-wise, it really is the largest scale model show in the world.
Yeah, there's no argument about that. It has the largest area, it has the most attendance, and it has the most models on tables. Not in the contest, but across the board.
Well, 853 models, I think, is 7 short of what they had on the tables down at Scale ACT at the weekend in Australia. So that's just the competition for us over here with 853. Then you've got all the halls full of tables for the branches and the special interest groups, the SIGs, as well. In total, there must have been in excess of 4,000 models in the building.
I'd have said more than that, probably.
How many branches turned up, Paul?
200 and odd branches and SIGs. I bet they all had more than 20, 30 models on average. Yeah, incredible. And I mean, I didn't mention it in my early piece because I didn't want to go on all night, but the displays are just, as ever, stunning. There are branches that do the bring and show what you got. Like I was saying about our own lot, that, whatever you brought went on the table. Others, particularly some of the SIGs, put on the most fantastic displays that, as I think it was Dan, wasn't it, mentioned earlier, some of the dioramas in the competition you can look at for hours, repeatedly. Some of the stands are exactly like that too, and you can look at them and not see what's there. And those are the work of many people over a year in many cases, or longer. And the most impressive, of course, size-wise, was, of course, our featured display, which was Battle of Britain 85.
That was impressive.
Which was the Battle of Britain 80 from the model show that never happened, carried forward 5 years, and during which they'd built some more models, so it got bigger and was impressive. That was 60-odd feet of display of models. But not just random models, but models telling a story. They were laid out to a pattern. There was supporting materials. There was, if you had the time, you could actually learn quite a lot about the Battle of Britain by going through that. And it even had if anybody noticed it, always perks my attention, there was a little collection at the end of 1969 warbirds from the film. It's always quite nice to see. And I don't know how many, I believe there were in the order of 12 or 15 people's models on that table, one way or another. Other SIGs and branches, just, as I say, they just turn up and put some models on a table. Great. Fantastic. And they go to the back of Hall 3, and you've got all those overseas guys who bring their models hundreds, if not thousands of miles and put on displays there. And all national borders are given up, other than the fact that this is my table, get off. But there were, we get multiple nationalities, mingling, possibly having a piece of pork pie or some strange food from Europe or somewhere, possibly enhanced by some 60% alcohol in the reception that they run between them. And yet everybody gets on. There's no grief, there's no arguments, there's no disputes. Everybody gets on. And just enjoys the day, the weekend. If we ran the world like IPMS seems to run, we wouldn't be doing too bad.
Agreed.
Oh, here. Absolutely. International language of plastic, Paul.
And glue sniffing. Yeah. No, it's an interesting event, and I'd like to take this opportunity to actually thank IPMS committee and your good self for the time and the space that you actually gave the pod for its first ever public outing. The interaction we actually had from the members of the public and everyone who came to the stand, thank you very much for your time. It was interesting to actually hear your opinions on the show. We were expecting comments along the lines of, we like the show, but over the whole weekend, we didn't get a but. So thankfully, we appear to be doing something right. People just coming up and having a conversation with you. And it's like they actually have known you for a very long time. And we didn't know them from Adam. But that's what made it absolutely really special for us, is people have actually taken us into their bench time and get really into the show and what's actually going on. So they're listening to what's going on. And normally on my bench, all that's on there at the moment is dust rather than anything actually time-wise to actually build anything. But it was just really heartening. And getting people to interact with the demos we were doing for ammo and stuff, for the Zimrit paste and things of that nature with Dan and myself, and also Luke doing the weathering, etc. The conversations that actually stemmed from that was just, we could have actually spent the whole weekend just doing that, let alone anything else, and trying to run around and grab interviews and other things as well. It just was really enjoyable. But thank you, Paul. And if you actually please pass on our thanks to everybody else.
As well.
Hopefully we'll be invited to actually come back and do it again next year. But
there's a right question.
The thing that actually got me more than anything was some people actually were having conversations reference IPMS and saying, I used to be a member, but I let my membership lapse, etc. But you guys, with what you're doing, you've actually now just convinced me to actually rejoin. So they were actually scanning the QR code and actually rejoining IPMS at the stand whilst they were actually talking to us. So
thanks for that.
It's worked from both sides.
And that's exactly what we think. We were able to share with the members on Saturday afternoon at the branch and SIG leaders business meeting, and also at dinner in the same evening, that our membership as of 4:00 on Saturday was 5,253. That's from memory. I hope it's right. It's the right numbers, maybe wrong order, the twos and threes. But either way, we're well up there, past 5,000. Highest membership that IPMS UK has ever had. And that is not achieved by people like by me, by the board, by our inner ring of volunteers. It is achieved by every member who is helping us make the society something people want to be part of and to feel that they're benefiting from. And this year, we've added a new arm to that, and that's we have a podcast now. We never had one before. We never thought we'd have one before. We now do. And it's amazing. You guys are absolutely helping us out no end. And what you just described, exactly what we'd like to see, Peter.
Bloody superstars we are.
You are. Yeah,
absolutely.
Great. You're a good bunch of guys. And it's good fun to come along and chat like this. Happy to do it anytime, anywhere, within reason.
Steady.
Nobody asked me for my autograph, though. That's the only thing.
I got asked.
Did you?
Yes.
Blimey.
Tell you what, I'll do that at Welton then, Wongi at the show, because that'll be...
Oh, cheers, Paul.
Then you can be media celebrity, show organiser, and... Yeah.
I'm Mark.
If you get a Sharpie and get a mug signed or something.
I saw lots of people turning around when they saw me doing a beeline elsewhere.
Yeah, running away.
Happens with me too. I think what you're experiencing there, though, is the feeling that, of why I've done this for so long as I have. It feels great to be part of something. It feels great to have friends that share a hobby that if it wasn't for sticking silly little things together and painting them and putting them on tables, you'd never have met these people. I mean, I would know one of you on this podcast if it wasn't for IPMS. And yet now I've met you all. Most of us have bumped into each other at shows and around the place. And we become friends that way.
Exactly. It's not just about the show itself. It's about the friends that you actually make. And I know that other pods have actually said around the world, it's exactly the same where they are. It's the camaraderie in the hobby. It's not so much just the actual event, is what goes on outside of the event as well. And for some of us who are actually up at 3 o'clock in the morning, what time was it you went to bed Sunday morning?
What, me?
Paul? Yes.
Sunday morning was relatively, it was earlier than I have in some cases, but 10 to 4.
Yeah, exactly.
What an heavy night that must have been then, eh?
No, it becomes something traditional to sit in the Holiday Inn and keep the bar open until then. Sorry.
I was going to say that I had a really good conversation with someone on our stand, and he was asking me about one of my builds, and then he said, "What do you do for a living?" And I told him. I said, "What do you do?" He said, "Oh, I'm a builder. I'm a bricklayer." And I said, "Does anybody else know on your building site, any of your mates, do they know what you do for a hobby?" And he said, "No." And I said, "Why not?" He said, I don't know, because they're going to think, oh, it's kids' toys in it. I said, this show is like outside, there's people walking around that high street. They couldn't give two hoots about what we're doing in that hall. But for all of us in there, it's such a buzz, and it's like it's our thing. It's like it's our celebration, as well as buying stuff as well. But you get to talk to so many people. And Brownie, you said it on one of the posts. Don't be British. Don't walk around with your head down. If you see a build on a table, I tell you what, you've only got to say who built that. I mean, inevitably, they'll probably be off shopping, but eventually you can end up with a conversation with someone that you've never met, but you've all got this one thing of sticking bits of plastic together and painting it, or whatever the medium is. And conversations can go off in so many different directions. You can end up, I've met someone, as I said, Dan Whitlock, who I've been wanting to talk to for ages, who's a bit of a dude when it comes to B-17s. And we're now chatting to each other on Facebook, and he's going to come to our club show and he's going to have a stand there just by instigating a conversation. We really need to do more of that as visitors to the show, because you'll end up having the conversation will go off into some fantastic places and you'll learn so much as well. But yeah, start the conversation at Telford and who knows where it will take you.
Well, that leads us on to something else that we've actually were talking about during the show, and we've alluded to previous to this episode, but we are now going to be having a branch or a SIG on every episode going forward. And we were talking to some of the branches, etc., and explaining about what the pod is. And people, I'll say, of a more senior age were sort of saying, "Oh, but I don't want to watch something on YouTube." I said, "No, we've all got faces for radio. It's absolutely fine. You haven't got to worry about that." And when you explain it,
I think I overheard that. I heard you say that. I thought, who's he talking about?
Yeah, apart from me.
You resemble that remark. No, it is a case of when you explain the show is basically a radio show, and you could just see them stop and think and then realise, well, instead of listening to the radio, I could actually listen to something about scale modelling. And it's that when the penny drops moment across there, you then realise you've actually got their attention. And so many, I've actually had quite a few emails come in, and if I haven't got back to you yet, I do apologise, but yeah, we'll get back to everyone who's messaged from the show in due course. But we will be having something on every show to actually further the point and try and get more people into branches and to join SIGs and to actually get more of an interaction. We had one person come up to the stand and was talking and saying, "Where were you? I'm from." He explained where he actually geographically was in the UK. And I said, "Well, you do realise you've actually got a branch probably within about 5 miles of the house." "Have they?" "Oh." And basically I got the phone out, went onto the IPMS website, said, "Yeah, it's here." "I didn't know that." "Oh, I'll have to see about going there." UK.org. All the information's there. You just need to have a look at it. "Oh, I'd never really looked at the site before." It's a resource. It's there. Take a look at it.
As British, we are terribly bad at doing that sort of thing some of the time, aren't we?
Yeah, very much so.
And as I say, something I really emphasise is clubs and branches particularly need to be welcoming of people. If somebody actually takes the trouble to contact them, or even more, to turn up at their venue, they really, really must welcome them, make a fuss over them, and get them on board.
Exactly.
Yeah, it's vital. And it's so good for us all, I think. The more we can talk, the more we can meet people, the more we can share. Because half the time, we're not even talking about the hobby. We're talking about other stuff.
Exactly.
It just takes us out of those little shells we all put around ourselves. And I think it's just invaluable. And there's so much kindness there as well. Invariably, we had a couple of comments I saw on Facebook before the show. People said, "Oh, is it okay? I'm not very able, so I can't get around very well." And branches were bouncing up saying, "If you need a break, just come and stop by. We'll always have a chair for you. We'll probably have chocolates and cake, and come and spend time with us." You'll never be far from a friend at a model show. It's just a you haven't met.
No, absolutely fine. Absolutely fine. Okay, Dan, it was your first ever Telford. Talk about a baptism of fire. What were your thoughts of the show?
Well, my Telford weekend started with my first visit to Cosford as well. And I didn't sleep Thursday night properly. I was up with the lark on Friday morning. I left when it was dark. I was so excited. I thought, I just need to get there now and get this.
Did you feel like a kid again on Christmas Eve?
I really did. Mate, I had an advent calendar. I've been counting the days. I'm not worried about Christmas. For me now, it's the big model shows. And so got out of the car, started walking, and I bumped into none other. He didn't know me at that point, was Mr. James Skiffins, who he's such a character. And we ended up walking round. Well, I sort of tagged myself onto him. And straight away, do you know what? By the end of that, I felt like I'd known James for years, and it's that camaraderie thing that we've all got in common. So I did that, and then obviously we set up on the Friday night, and then come Saturday morning. Wow, all I can say is I looked out and saw the queue before the public come in, and that first couple of hours, I have to say, was quite overwhelming for me. It was just a bit of an assault on the senses. The din of the noise of thousands of people just talking in halls. I went to bed that night with that sound in my ears of thousands of people just talking and getting to meet so many listeners. You're looking at traders, you think, I want to go and see that. I want to go and see that SIG. The Land Rover SIG were there. I didn't even get to look at their stand until Sunday. And I think by then the chap that runs it were off. They were obviously off out shopping. I think Telford could be a Friday as well, whether that would be viable in the future. I think you need, if you want to look at every single SIG, every group, because you'll spot builds on every table that you like, at least something, and look at the traders and look at the competition.
Don't forget, there's that catch up. That's a biggie.
And catch up with friends. Yeah. I mean, the time just evaporates before you know it. You're like, there's only 2 hours left. All right, we get to do it again tomorrow. And that goes just as quick as well. But the remembrance service for me was a real nice, natural sort of just stop and break. And for personal reasons, when I hear the last post, it does sort of get me in the throat, and it certainly gets a bit dusty behind the glasses. And that's a real nice reset moment. And I think it's a moment to reflect that what we're doing is sticking bits of plastic together is nothing compared to, like you say, the society and talking to people, because we do spend a lot of time looking at screens. Modelling is can be a very solitary hobby. So the social side of things is really important. And I certainly got a huge boost of that this weekend, and I can't wait for the next show, Bolton. I can't wait for the next Telford, and I can't wait for the next whatever the event may be.
Dan, are you coming to Bolton then?
Booked in, mate. We'll be there. A few of the
good man.
A small West Norfolk team are going to be there, and William, my son's, coming up to that one with me as well. So yeah. If there's a competition, maybe he'll get something on a table, or if it's an open format, I don't know. But he's certainly keen. The bug has bitten. It is Gundam heavy, but maybe that will lead on to other things as well. But so what if it does? It doesn't matter he can build whatever he wants to build, as far as I'm concerned.
The box art stand's going to be there, isn't it, Brownie?
It is indeed. Yes. And we've also got somebody from Ammo coming as well.
Oh, lovely stuff.
I will say the demos did seem to go down very well. And I think people were quite surprised to see someone actually doing something there, like modelling or demoing something.
I only caught the tail end of yours. I wish I'd have seen Luke's, because he was going to, I forgot what he was going to show me now. What did he use? Did he use those?
Yeah. With the product that I was demoing, I was supposed to have a practice before the Saturday, and someone in my club said to me, don't practice, just use it for the first time there, which was a bit of a risk, but I thought but someone looking at it, it would be the first time that they would use it. So, I mean, I was a bit shaky, I have to say. The first time I tried it, I was a bit nervous when you've got all those people sort of staring at you. And I used it for the first time, and I said, well, there you go, that's proof. And I could honestly say to everyone, look, I've never touched this stuff before. This is my first time using it. So, yeah, it was really good. That then conversation started. Someone mentioned to me this Zimmerit paste. He said, I don't do armour, but this could be used for render on buildings and stuff. I said, well, I didn't even think of that, you know. And it's just starting that conversation, then see where it goes.
Yeah. Didn't you say you could buy, if you could get the paste on its own, would be a really good thing as well?
You can buy the paste on its own. You don't have to buy it in a set. Whether ammo have considered for it to be used for texturing, I think you could probably even use it as a base mud texture as well if you wanted to, because it's got quite a working time with it, and then you can chip it and all the rest of it. But yeah, very good. But yeah, I loved it, and I can't wait for the next one.
Okay. Nevs, what was your thoughts of the show?
Well, I was thinking before, Paul, when you said there weren't that many youngsters, this is my 4th Telford in a row, 5th overall. Normally when I come, it's which shade of grey am I looking at in terms of the age demographic. But this year, I felt there were so many people of my age, and I'm not talking teenagers, I'm talking guys in the mid-20s, who seemed to be taking an active interest as they were going past. Yeah, like you're saying, a lot of these people coming from the Games Workshop kind of side, or maybe from the Gundam side, but you can be talking about scale aircraft, scale tanks, whatever it is, and they know what you're talking about. So that was, to me, that was encouraging, that I did see quite a lot of guys in the mid-20s. And like you were saying as well, the women that we were talking to at the podcast, they weren't there because they were like a deer in headlights that had been left by the husband. They were there because they were genuinely taking an interest in the hobby.
Absolutely.
So that was great to see as well.
Keeping an eye on what he's spending.
Absolutely. Some awesome lady modelers out there.
Yes.
What they do and how they do it. 1 or 2 SIG leaders, ladies, that I know of. The second placed SIG is led by a lady. That's the really wild SIG, green looking SIG. The branch I always mention, who won't let me go if I can say something that way, Farnborough, their branch sec is a lady.
Isn't the chair of Manchester?
I think you might be right.
Yes. Karen.
Yes, of course. Sorry. Thick there, yes. Can never quite remember who's who, but yeah. You know, so for what sounds like a totally male hobby, there are a number of ladies in there who are participating heavily and in whatever way, and that's great. You know, it really doesn't matter. If you've got fingers, you can make a model.
Well, you don't even need sight, because there was actually one of the groups there. I've forgotten the name of the charity, and I do apologise, but there was actually a blind modelling group present.
Was that part of Models for Heroes?
No, it wasn't. It was a different one, and I've completely forgotten the name of it, and I do apologise. I will try and find it out, and I'll put it into the show notes, but there was a scale modelling group there for blind people, and they actually had some reasonable builds. And it's a case of, I can't even do it, and I'm reasonably able-bodied. So to actually see blind people have actually done something, it was incredible. Absolutely incredible.
We can bring in anyone and everyone. This is what it's all about.
It's a fully inclusive hobby. Fully inclusive.
We have neither creed, colour, size, scale, race, sex. You know, really does not matter.
No, not at all.
Really, really does not matter. It's one of the few things we can do that shares everybody is equal.
It's strange, isn't it, that the thing we all stick together and paint and display, it's all, well, majority killing machines, yet, you know, what we do, what we're generally, everybody's, you know, like you say, very friendly. It's a complete anathema to what we do, really.
What I would also say, and it's an argument I hear and know of from the wargaming side of the hobby to some degree as well. It means we tend to know what we're looking at, and we know how horrible wars and military actions can be. And probably makes us a darn sight safer people in terms of we don't go out and promote the use of these things. We tend to be promoting the memory of them, which is, again, the remembrance thing. You know, I have no problem at all about somebody having a model of Enola Gay on a table. Yes, the machine did a horrible thing. The argument about whether it was the right thing or not, that's political. It's a different question.
That was the machine, mate. It was the men that was in it, really, wasn't it?
But the machine did what it did. But it's a darn sight better that we have something that prompts the memory and prompts us to think about it than we try and forget it.
Yes, absolutely.
That is, sorry, I've gone dangerously political there.
Yeah. Let's bring you back in, Paul.
Okay then, moving on then. Boulders, your thoughts on the show?
I didn't see much of it Saturday. Obviously, we're setting the Bolton Club table up with Wonga.
Don't forget, we were trialling a new system, weren't we?
Yes, we were. New 3-tier system. That's the talk of the weekend was dolphins, if I remember correctly.
Yeah. Can you see the dolphins?
Can you see the dolphins? Yeah, 400 scale dolphins.
Yeah.
It feels like I've gone into the Twilight world here.
You had to be on the Bolton stand to understand where that comment comes from. There was, just to give everybody a view, just imagine, what kit was it? The Revell Aida, was it?
Yes, the 1-400 cruise ship, the German Ida, I would say.
Yeah. So one of our members had built this kit using the good old water technology that I've pushed onto the club. And he added in some 1-400 scale dolphins, which you could hardly see. But he was asking people to just lean forwards and have a look, which everybody was sort of shirking because there was a lot of people leaning forward, but there was a lot of models in front of him. So anyway, we tried to wrestle them back and just say, zoom in with your camera instead, it's easier. But yes, but you had a really good model on the table.
Yeah, the KG5.
Yeah, we had a lot of discussions. Yeah.
Again, was a late night, but yes, we did. There was a lot of midnight oil burnt on that. Completed the base Friday morning, and then there was a suggestion made at 11:30. Are you painting the edges of the base? And I was like, well, I didn't think about it, but he went, it'd be better. So luckily enough, my other half used to do some prop set painting for primary schools, and that when she was a teacher. Luckily enough, she had some black paint that worked a treat, so within 20 minutes it was all painted.
It did look good.
It was impressive.
I think it looks better with the smoke on and that, making it look like it's alive and obviously having the guns turned. But yeah, I think I've got the shit bug a little bit at the moment. So like I say, it's just something different.
Just for clarification, that is ship with a P, because you said you had COVID.
Yes, it's ship with a P, not with a T. But going back to Telford, this year was my first year judging. What an experience it was. I thoroughly enjoyed it. Wasn't easy by any means necessary. Am I allowed to say what classes are judged, or am I not allowed to?
Your choice, I believe.
So I actually judged the junior class.
Wow.
Which, to be honest, I thought was very impressive considering, you know, there's not many junior modelers out there, but when they actually do something, they actually do a really nice job. Now, like I said before in another conversation, the one that really impressed me was from a 15-and-a-half-year-old from Switzerland who took gold for a 120mm US Army figure, the first in Bastogne, and it was phenomenal, absolutely phenomenal. And the really thing that got me was that he'd learned to paint figures by watching YouTube. It was his sort of like first figure. He broke his leg, was pretty bored, and then decided to paint this figure. And I was just like, I hate you. And that's why the competition is what?
Chance for you yet, mate? Keep watching that YouTube.
Figures are out of my depth massively. And then there was, now I obviously didn't mention this on social media, there was a post on regarding an 8-year-old who had entered 3 models into the competition. And for an 8-year-old, I was like, if I could have produced something like that at 8 years of age, I think my modelling skills would have been a lot further on than they are now, because
you're not quite there at 39. If you could actually see the look that he just gave for the, it's going to be.
I'll get my own back. Don't worry, Brownie. I'll get my own back.
Definitely handbags at dawn and that.
So yeah, so I obviously judged that. There was a couple of other bits and pieces that I did. Obviously, I did a couple of other classes as well. And yeah, it was just so hard, the level of detail that was done to them. And yeah, it's the competition side of it is a tough job. It's not an easy feat by any means necessary. Like you said, the Agora models, I judged that with a couple of other judges. Some really, really good stuff. Obviously, the one that got it was the Optimus Prime with battle damage that looked like he'd passed away. And there was loads of weeds and vines all over him. It just looked absolutely superb. And yeah, I was gobsmacked about the price pot for that, for the winner, which I thought was pretty impressive. Yeah.
What did they get? What did they win?
It was £1,000 across the class.
Wow.
Across the winners, yes.
Oh, across the class. Not blind. I was going to say, God, some kits you could buy with that.
But that's not the only one where there are prizes like that. I mean, the
Hannons do it as well, and Hannons
do a couple of trophies, yeah, based on decals. And they give away vouchers for their store. And Airfix tried to recreate a picture from one of their catalogues from about the 70s where they buried the winner of their class in kits. Which was, now I actually remember it, and they didn't, because Dale's nowhere near old enough to remember it. But the way they tried to get this guy to pose, it really looked as though they were doing that catalogue picture of somebody holding all their super kits and mega kits and everything. And so there's some very generous donations of stuff that gets given away. I mean, we picked on Agora this year and focused a little bit because they were new, but others do the same. I mean, let me ask you, you were judging for the first time. I personally find judging competitions like this, in a way, a little bit negative at times, because you actually end up having to look at models and just try and find things that are wrong with them.
Yeah, absolutely.
Which is a little bit depressing at times, because that's the only way to divide them, isn't it?
Yeah, I found it a bit daunting, to be honest with you. A bit worrying. Well, you're nitpicking at the end, because you were all so good.
Exactly.
And at the end, you're literally looking for the smallest of fault. And for me, I found it quite a bit, because somebody's going to be disappointed. That's the killer. And I was dreading it if anybody was going to come and ask for a bit of feedback or something like that.
I can honestly say I've heard no criticism of judging at all whatsoever this year. No, that should never have won. That, which is almost again unheard of. It's usual to have some chafing going on that something shouldn't have won and whatever. And the bit I'm most focused on judging myself is the branches and SIGs. That's the one I lead the judging on. And I'm pleased to say that the Land Rover guys who won it on the SIG display, it was pretty much by acclaim when the prize was announced to them that the room agreed. Had a great job.
It was impressive. It was very impressive.
And just a 6-foot table. You have to be big to win. So, I think this year, as I say, I heard no criticisms of any of the judging. It's not to say there haven't been, or I just haven't heard them, but nothing's dropped in my inbox yet or come to my attention. So I think it was a real success.
Mark, what was your thoughts on the event then?
Well, the usual thing whizzes by before you know it. I enjoyed being on the Beyond the Box Art stand. I thought it was really good. I enjoyed having some good chinwags with people that enjoyed listening to us and people we'd interviewed over the past few months. That was great. The show itself, I enjoyed the walkabouts because I thought it was pleasantly full, if you want to call it that way. It was great not bumping into people, all that kind of stuff again. And it was great seeing all the old mates, all the old pals from previous years down the line. People have not. There's a lot there that I only see at Telford, and I always look forward to that. And I always find I've got the last hour on the Sunday night or the last bit of the afternoon to go and actually do a bit of shopping this time, And listen to you guys talking there, I'm thinking, I didn't see that and I didn't see that. But because there's so much I probably missed, you can't see it all. You literally cannot see everything. But yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed it. Yeah, it's good. The judging, first time I judged, I found it a bit daunting. It wasn't as bad as I expected, in a way. It was just, one of the things that was a little bit weird was trying to get us all to agree on stuff, because we all had different ideas of what was good and bad. And then, and then it came to the nitpicking. Then it came down to that wing's a bit lower than that, or that landing gear's towed in a little bit and that one's not, and then we're looking for canopies that were a bit wonky and a bit askew, and all kinds of stuff. But yeah, it was good. We got through it, and I think the order of our choice was good. The main guy, because luckily while you're there's somebody you can ask, the chief judge, and he can have a look at it, and he will agree with your decision, or he will ask. And he did ask, why have you picked that out and what's kind of wrong with it? And so we kind of explained it to him, and he was happy with that answer, and that was that done. So that was good. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, another Telford, another year done, and it felt like it's like you get there on a Friday, all buzzing, and the next thing you know, you're going home on a Sunday. And, well, hang on, where's the bit in the middle gone?
Very much so. I must admit that virtually sums up my Telford, to be honest. It was a blur from when we arrived Friday afternoon to actually set up, and the time just dissolved. It literally dissolved. But the interactions and all the benchmates on the stand, and the amount of displays that I actually had time to go and have a look at, etc., as I was running from one place to another to try and actually organise things and to catch up with people. But there was some bits which you guys haven't covered already, rather than going over our old ground again. But there was a lot of kit announcements, which was fantastic for Telford, and also some stuff that was sort of hidden away, which had been announced earlier, but no one actually really noticed. Trumpeter had a sample of their new 148th Buccaneer S2D on the stand, which a lot of people didn't actually spot or see, and I only spotted it by accident. That looks like a fantastic kit when it actually comes out on the market, and it's just interesting how, after we waited so long for a Buccaneer and that scale to come out, suddenly, like buses, twos come along in very short succession. And one of the things, this is what I alluded to earlier on, was there was an announcement in Australia at Scale ACT for Qatari bringing out a 148th P47D Razorback, which was absolutely fantastic. Great subject. But what a lot of people didn't spot was on the Qatari stand at Telford is the announcement of the 132nd BF109E. And I think it's the first time a manufacturer has actually released kits on the opposite side of the globe at the same time. And Mark said, do you realise you're the first person to actually spot that? So they took the decision not to actually announce it on any of their socials, etc., and just see how long it took for people to actually realise what was going on. Everyone was concentrating, obviously, for the time difference. The Thunderbolt was actually announced first, but there was literally just leaflets on the Qatari stand. And Mark, we come back on an episode of the Two's Time to actually have a quick chat about it, but he said, yeah, the announcement of the 109, we literally just left the leaflets on the stand to see how long it took for people to spot it. But yes, power to the elbow. And of course, that wasn't the only 109 that was announced for the weekend, because good old Airfix have come along with a 124th BF109G.
It's like a Live Aid, isn't it?
Yeah. Anyway.
Absolutely true.
I wasn't gonna buy that, and now I think
we had a little chat about that, and initially, the big hoo-ha of, what's it going to be? And then when they actually announced it, there was a bit of a, is it? And when you actually go and look at it in the real world, it's actually a bloody decent kit. It is nice.
Mark your week.
But this is a very good point for me to actually say we'll pause the conversation here, and I shall play in the interview I took with Dale from Airfix and talking about the 109. I'm still with Dale from Airfix, and obviously the big news at the show this year is the release of the new BF109 in 124 scale.
Indeed, yes. So new tool, 24 scale, BF109 G5, G6, 504 parts, something like that. I'm sort of slowly getting very tired this afternoon.
Not 410?
No. Yeah, and the kit is actually packed full of detail. We LiDAR scanned a number of examples across Europe, including the engine on its own. When we walked into somewhere to do some research on that particular kit, they had the engine out. and sat on some framing, and we were like,
that was helpful.
We were going to take this opportunity to live scan the hell out of this thing, and I think, I mean, for those of you that have been at the show today and seen the engine sat on its own, the 24 scale and the upscaled one that our engineers have played around with, you look at that alone and go, yeah, they've gone to town on that. So yeah, it's gone down really well, and I'm looking forward to getting product out into the market.
So who's the designer on this kit?
Matt.
Okay.
So Matt's been with the business now for, it must be getting on 15 years or something like that.
Okay.
I joined before him, but I left, so he's done more years than me. But no, Matt's a great lad. He was promoted about 12 months ago to development manager, and this was his last ever kit design for us.
Oh.
Yeah, because of his promotion.
Gotcha.
So yeah, nothing negative, but he's never designed a 24 scale kit before.
Mm-hmm.
I think you've got to have a certain frame of mind. He wanted to do the 109. He wanted to have a crack at a 24 scale. There was no doubting that it was never going to be an amazing looking product. And then he was given this promotion, quite rightly so, and it's all fallen into place for him. So I think he's a very, very happy man today. His baby is out in the open.
Now, looking at the deco sheet, the options you've got for the kit, you've actually got 3 schemes for the same airframe?
Yes, yeah.
Plus also the RAF stroke Air Ministry VX101 109G6 Trop.
Yeah, that is one of the 3 that's from the same airframe.
Okay.
Yeah, so there's 5 schemes in total.
Yeah.
There's a number of variant kit parts included as well, so which makes it interesting. But the 5 schemes, 3 of them are the same airframe.
Mm-hmm.
It was a 109 operating down Italy over the Med, etc.
Yeah.
So we've got pre-capture. We've got captured by the Americans, so there's a big star on the side. And then once the Americans finished ragging it around the skies of Italy, the RAF were then given it. And so then it had this amazing RAF looking scheme, which I must admit is my favourite, but I would change the canopy. And then there's 2 other German schemes that are quite different, and there's like a high altitude type scheme. We've included cockpit parts for a high altitude BF109 as well. So yeah, it is packed.
Absolutely. Just a pity VX101 didn't actually survive the war, because it actually had a landing accident at Ford in 1944 from memory.
Right, I'm not going to pretend that I know that, but yeah, I'm sure that given that the RAF were the last to operate, if it still existed, it would be a Hendon or Cosford somewhere.
Exactly.
So, yeah, a shame. A beautiful looking aircraft.
But also in the kit, a little bit of a departure. You did it partially with the Lysander, or aftermarket canopy masks. You've actually included masks not only for the perspex, but markings as well?
Yes, so contrary to popular belief, we do listen to people, and a lot of us are modelers at heart as well. So it's not a case of not wanting to do something, it's a case of making sure that we've got the resources to do something properly. We've wanted to do masking sets for a little while. It was fine, and it was all about finding the best way of doing it.
Yep.
We stopped sending out sample kits to third parties, press, anyone before the kit release. Because of that then meant that anyone wanting to use masking sets or etch parts or anything like that, no one had developed them until a couple of months later. So it was sort of a position where we could then own any aftermarket that we wanted to.
Yes.
And then the noise of people asking for masking sets grew, which is lovely.
Yeah.
We've worked with our friends Cartograph to develop something. They've never made masking sets before, but we know anything that they turn their hand to is amazing quality. So we've worked with them to develop something. They've done an amazing job. There was quite a gap between releasing Lysander, the kit, and then the masking set. It was never meant to be that long, but sometimes these things take a little bit longer. Both parties have learned a lot from the Lysander masking set, which have gone down extremely well. Some of the comments I've seen on socials and stuff like that has been made. I haven't got a Lysander, but I want to use a masking set, so I've bought a Lysander.
Okay, logical.
That's great. Yeah. That's amazing. Instead of thinking, I've bought the kit, so I need to buy the masking set, so I now need to go and buy the kit, which is obviously few people are going to be like that, but that was amazing. Once we've proven, there's plenty of people doing masking sets, but once internally we've worked out the best way of doing it, because it was new for us, then we decided to add it into the 109. And we've used the biggest sheet our suppliers can get their hands on for the 109. So it's included in the kit, which a lot of people have asked for. So the masking set in the kit includes exterior clear part masks. It also includes painting masks for the 2 different nose cone spirals.
Okay.
And some crosses on the side. Why the crosses on the side? The crosses on the side of the airframes weren't painted in a solid black colour. Actually, some of them were like a really dark grey that matched the paint elsewhere in the aircraft.
Yeah.
So, yes, we could manufacture a decal to match a particular colour, but when the modeller comes to making it...
It's got to match.
They've now got to match whatever paint brand they use to a decal colour, and that is never going to look right. So we decided that actually that was the best option. There are crosses in the kit if you want to use that, whatever. So that's how we ended up like that. It's amazing how big nose cone spirals take on a masking set. So that we'd made that decision, that gone in the set. I then wanted to release a masking set on its own. To be honest, more as a spare part than anything else, because no one needs to go and buy one because it's already in the kit. But if someone messes their clear part masking set up, what do they do? And it's going to be quite tricky for our spare team to start cutting out. I'm missing whatever single mask from this kit. It's never going to go well. So we decided to do that. The masking set is the same size as the Lysander, would you believe, when it's just the clear parts.
Right.
Of the kit.
Okay.
And then we had space to do the interior masks. So if you want to mask the interior of your 109 cockpit, you do need to go and buy the extra set. If you're not fussed about that, you never do, then you don't. If you mess your clear part mask up from the kit, then you have an option there. So that's why we've ended up with both, which is new. It's amazing.
Well, yeah, absolutely. And also, with what you've actually done with the 109, is this going to be a trait now for future releases to actually put masks in the box?
It certainly is our intention. Now, I'm not going to say it's going to be in every single kit from a certain series, from a certain price point upwards or whatever. There will certainly be some kits that deserve it in 72nd scale, in 48 scale, in 24 scale. So we're going to choose it based on kit by kit. Obviously, it is price dependent as well. I don't want masking sets to increase the base cost of a kit. Well, it does increase the base cost of a kit, but I don't want it to increase the retail price point of a kit. So that's something that we've just got to think of more added value than anything else.
Okay.
So yes, we do intend to. When you'll see the next one, right now I can't tell you, and what it would be I can't tell you. Equally, the Lysander selling that on its own has proven that we can do it.
Yes.
And as silly as that sounds, because clearly people can do it, but it's sort of a business case that's now been proven internally. Right, okay, which ones can we now do ourselves, and rightfully so, regardless of whether any other aftermarket manufacturer have done it before. We haven't, so let's play around with it.
And you have the advantage that you're supplying, I should imagine, the CAD drawing, so you've actually got the perfect fitment and cutout for the mask, compared to actually an aftermarket company that actually has to measure and perhaps doesn't quite get it there.
Yeah, so we don't, Cartograph just cut the mask, they're not designing it.
Yeah.
We're doing all the design ourselves.
Gotcha.
So the CAD's not leaving the business, that's a big no-no for us. Obviously it's IP, and the designer of that kit, if they're still in the business, they are then walking through the mask cutting development to make sure that they've got the right things, it's flattened properly, etc., etc. So that's a massive positive that only we can own of our kits, because only we've got the CAD. My intention is for any new masking sets that we sell individually and perhaps not in the box itself, that we release those at the same time as the kit.
Yeah.
So you're not having to wait months. It's not a Lysander release date, is slightly different, but the 109, the brand new 24 scale 109 here today, that will go to market, and the masking set, the secondary masking set, will be available in stock at the same time.
Okay. And what is the actual in-shop date for the 109?
So, we've got multiple shipments on their way over right now. We're going to wait for the second shipment to arrive in the UK before releasing any stock. So we've got the best opportunity of supplying as many customer orders as possible. We never want to let anyone down, so let's do it like that. Currently that's tracking end of November.
Okay.
So it's like 23rd of November. But, if the wind is coming from the north instead of the south, it's going to take them a little bit longer to come up the channel. So that is still very flexible. So
That gives the impression then this is coming from India?
it is, yeah.
Okay. Well, thank you very much for your time, Dale.
Pleasure.
Hopefully we can entice you to actually come on to the show and have a proper discussion about Airfix.
Yeah, absolutely love to.
Fantastic. Thank you very much for your time.
Thanks, Brownie. Cheers.
That just about wraps up our Tales of Telford and obviously the summary of what happened on the show. You'll obviously see lots and lots of coverage online all over the place. But one of the amusing now stories is my arrival at Telford Friday afternoon was challenging, to put it mildly. I booked with a well-known, established, and I'm not even going to actually say the name of the company, it just starts with the letter E, where I booked my hotel accommodation. Had an email 2 days before Telford to say, this is your final chance to cancel, otherwise you're going to get charged, etc., as per normal. I turn up at the hotel location to find that it had actually been bulldozed a year before and was actually now a housing estate. I rang them up and said, what are you going to do about it? Oh, we'll ring them. It's a housing estate. No, you're not getting this, are you? It doesn't exist. Oh, they didn't answer the phone. Well, that's not surprising. It's a housing estate. What are you going to do about it? Or give you a refund? Well, that's nice of you. And how about the accommodation? Oh, that's your problem to solve. And with that, they hung up. So that was really helpful. So at 3 o'clock on Friday afternoon at Telford, after booking the hotel accommodation a year ago, I had nowhere to stay.
That's why you look so stressed.
Yes, absolutely. So my arrival at Telford was not exactly as I planned, to put it mildly. Thankfully, I found somewhere about 7 miles out of town, but it's a case of, yes, it could only happen to me. Anyway, Paul, if you could please relay to the whole team at IPMS all the yellow shirts, from the marshals that were actually walking around, the hall managers, the competition judges, absolutely everyone from whatever role they actually did at the show. Thank you very much, because without them, the event wouldn't actually go ahead. And obviously for the exec as well, and the kindness you've actually shown the pod. Thank you. Everyone who actually attended, I didn't hear a bad word over the weekend about any aspect of the show at all. So if you could relay that for us, please, that would be appreciated.
Absolute pleasure. And thank you so much. Welcome into the IPMS family. I think you're going to be part of it for many years to come by the sounds of it. We look forward to working with you in different ways. So please, thank you to what you do. And I'll make sure everybody hears this. And thanks again.
It's an absolute pleasure, Paul, and you can guarantee if you can give us the space as we had this year, that'll be absolutely fantastic, and get Rich to actually pencil us in. That'd be brilliant. Anyway, with that, thank you very much, and as I alluded to earlier in the show, please listen to what we're about to play out. It's the whole of the remembrance service. Yes, we're going to play out silence, but during that time, please just contemplate what those people actually gave during the conflicts over the years. And this is what the whole event is about. So from us, thank you very much for listening. We'll be back to you again in a couple of weeks' time. From the whole team on the show, bye-bye.
All right. All right. Jump.
They shall grow not old, as we that are let troll. Age shall not weary them, nor the years condemn. At the going down of the sun, and in the morning, we will remember them. When you go home, tell them of us and say, for your tomorrow, we gave our today.
All right. Stand at each.
Oh, that's right.